The temperature soared to 40 degrees Celsius, and my husband, Lin Chang, suffered severe heat stroke and lay in the ICU, his life hanging in the balance. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law pointed at me, yelling that I had deliberately turned off the air conditioning and wanted Lin Chang to die. I just watched their performance with indifference because in my previous life, it was me who had heat stroke and they removed my life support, and it was me who had to watch my husband and my adopted sister get intimate by the hospital bed. 1. Su Qing, why are you running the air conditioning in 40-degree weather? Do you want our Lin family to go bankrupt paying the electricity bill? Turn it off. Hurry up and turn it off. My mother-in-law, Wang Sholian's sharp and harsh voice, like a rusty saw dipped in poison, viciously grated against my eardrums. I snapped my eyes open. My mind was still hazy, but my body remembered the agony of being burned alive by the heat, my internal organs scorched by the intense temperature. What greeted my eyes was the living room, seared into my memory. Cheap, yellowed wallpaper with curling edges was plastered on the walls, and the old ceiling fan overhead creaked and groaned like a death knell, futilely stirring the hot, sticky air outside the window. Everything within sight warped and distorted in the heat wave, and my mother-in-law's face, her features contorted by obesity and malice, exactly as I had seen it before I died. I've really come back. I subconsciously touched my neck. In my previous life, I suffocated right here. The despair of not being able to breathe when they pulled the plug on my life support still felt branded into my bones and blood. The electronic calendar on the wall coldly displayed the bright red numbers. July 12th, 40 degrees Celsius. Today, the day I died in my previous life. Why are you standing there like a dead person? I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? Seeing my lack of response, Wang Sholian took 3 steps at once, her plump body rushing over with a sweaty odor, and reached out her rough hand to pull out the air conditioner plug. In my previous life, I protected the plug like a madwoman, shouting hoarsely at her, "Mom, people will die. 40-degree heat will really kill people." I thought that family ties and human lives should be more important than that little electricity bill, and the result when Lin Chang returned, without asking any questions, he slapped me to the ground, scolding me for being ignorant and not understanding his mother's lifelong frugality. Then, in front of me, he personally pulled out the plug and personally, he pushed me into a scorching hell. And this time, beep, a soft sound. The second before Wang Sholian's hand touched the plug, I raised my hand and turned off the air conditioner with the remote control. The entire world instantly lost its last bit of coolness. All that remained was the feeble whirring of the old ceiling fan and the familiar, suffocating heat that made one feel sick. I slowly turned around, facing Wang Sholian, whose face was a mask of bewilderment and whose hand was frozen in midair. I offered a smile that could only be described as gentle and virtuous. "Mom, you're right. It's me who's ignorant and spoiled. I shouldn't have wasted electricity like this." My voice was light and soft, like a feather, but it made Wang Sholian shiver violently. She eyed me suspiciously, as if to confirm I hadn't gone mad from the heat. "Did you take the wrong medicine today?" "No, I didn't." My smile grew even more sincere and radiant. "I was foolish before and always made you angry, but that won't happen again." I picked up the lukewarm herbal tea from the table, which was no longer cold, and respectfully handed it to her. "Mom, please sit down and rest. It's so hot. Don't get angry and harm your health." This 360-degree turn completely baffled Wang Sholian. She dazedly took the teacup, her mouth opening and closing, unable to utter a single word. Just then, the study door opened with a click. 2. My husband Lin Chang, and his pure and innocent adopted sister Lin Xiaoxiao, walked out one after the other. Lin Xiaoxiao was wearing a light yellow slip dress. There were a few ambiguous red marks on her exposed shoulders and neck, and one of the straps was askew, clearly indicating she had just finished some playfulness. As soon as she saw me, a flash of smug disdain quickly crossed her eyes. She immediately switched to her signature pitiable expression, timidly hiding behind Lin Chang, still clutching his clothes. "Brother, is sister-in-law unhappy again? It's all my fault. If only I wasn't so frail. The doctor said I shouldn't always be in the air conditioning, for fear of developing chronic illness." As she spoke, she coughed twice at just the right moment, as if she were about to faint. "It's not your fault," I interrupted her with a smile, my gaze drifting over her messy straps and the red marks on her neck. "Who to blame? You know best, don't you?" Lin Xiaoxiao's face instantly turned pale. Lin Chang's brows immediately furrowed into a deep frown. He habitually wanted to lash out at me, but as soon as he met my smiling eyes, the scolding words got stuck in his throat. Today, I was too calm, so calm that it made him a little flustered. He met my gaze for a few seconds, then quickly exchanged a look with Lin Xiaoxiao behind him, a look of triumphant superiority, one I was all too familiar with. In their eyes, my compromise Was my final surrender in this protracted family war. I finally recognized that in this family, I was not as precious as his frail sister, just a soft persimmon, easily manipulated and sacrificed at will. Truly, utterly ridiculous. I slowly lowered my eyelids, concealing the all-consuming hatred burning within my eyes. Don't rush this time. The roles of hunter and prey should be reversed, and my first prey. I looked up at Lin Chong, who was unconsciously loosening his collar due to the heat. It's you. This 40-degree weather, this stuffy room, is the warm bed I've carefully prepared for you. Enjoy it. Enjoy all the heat I saved for you in my previous life. 3. Lin Chong, use this fan. The study is too stuffy. I thoughtfully pushed the only old standing fan in the house into the study. Lin Chong sat in front of the computer, drenched in sweat. His shirt was soaked and clung uncomfortably to his back. He irritably tugged at his collar, unable to find anything satisfactory on the screen. Today was the deadline for a crucial company project, and he had to send the proposal to the client by 3 p.m. In his previous life, it was precisely because of the heat and his resulting frustration that he made frequent mistakes, ultimately having to bring work home, and to put his mind at ease, took on all the household chores alone, eventually succumbing to the heat in the windless kitchen. No need. Lin Chong, without even looking up, pointed to Lin Xiaoxiao's room next door. Take it to Xiaoxiao. She's frail, don't let her get heatstroke. My brother spoils me the most. Lin Xiaoxiao immediately poked her head out of her room, her voice sickeningly sweet, her eyes filled with provocation and showing off to me. Okay, I replied with a smile, as if I hadn't noticed the sordidness between them at all. I moved the fan into Lin Xiaoxiao's room and thoughtfully helped her set the fan speed to the highest setting. The strong wind blew against her white dress, making her look like an ethereal fairy. And my dear husband, in the study next door, which was like a steamer, was enduring the torment of the scorching heat. Husband, I walked back into the study with a plate of sliced, chilled watermelon. Have some watermelon to cool down. I placed the watermelon beside him and said softly, by the way, I've made a doctor's appointment for a checkup at 2 p.m., so I won't be cooking at home. Remember to get something to eat yourself after you finish your project. A checkup. A flicker of wariness crossed Lin Chang's eyes as he finally looked up from his computer screen. Why a checkup all of a sudden? Oh, I've just been feeling dizzy and weak lately, with heart palpitations and shortness of breath. I'm worried something might be wrong. I clutched my chest, furrowed my brow, and put on a frail, helpless act. Don't worry, I can handle it alone. You focus on your work. The project is the priority. My words, which I framed as being sensible and considerate, completely disarmed him. He waved his hand as if shooing away a fly. Got it, go now. Don't bother me here. The moment I stepped out of the house, the smile on my lips was cold and cruel. Dizziness and fatigue, palpitations, and shortness of breath. That's right, these are the most typical early signs of heatstroke. In my previous life, I died in that sweltering summer, consumed by these symptoms and despair. In this life, Lin Chong, I am returning them to you, exactly as they were, for I didn't go to the hospital. Instead, I went back to my parents' house, comfortably lay on the sofa, and enjoyed the air conditioning while my mother brought me homemade chilled mung bean soup. The cool air from the AC brushed against my skin, taking away the last bit of heat and making my heart, burning with hatred, even colder and harder. I watched the clock on the wall, the minute hand ticking, 1 second at a time, towards the moment of judgment. 3:15, my phone rang precisely on time. Caller ID, mother-in-law. I pressed the answer button, and from the other end of the line, her panicked, tearful scream immediately came through. Su Qing, where the hell are you? Lin Chong, he fainted. Get your ass back here right now. I slowly put down the soup spoon in my hand and wiped my mouth with a tissue. Mom, please don't rush. Tell me slowly, what happened? My voice was as calm as a stagnant pool. How can I not be anxious? He was foaming at the mouth, convulsing all over, and I couldn't wake him up. I told you to get back here. Oh, I said, slowly, standing up. Did you call 120 then? On the other end of the phone, there was a dead silence that lasted for more than 10 seconds. Then came my mother-in-law's even more furious roar. Why call 120? It costs money. Hurry back and wake him up. I smiled. See, this is my wonderful mother-in-law. In her eyes, her own son's life was not as important as the ambulance fee. Mom, that won't do. I patiently, word by word, taught her in the tone she used to admonish me in her past life. In this situation, you must call 120, otherwise, delaying treatment can be fatal. After speaking, I directly hung up the phone, giving her no chance to continue her tirade under my mother's worried gaze. I slowly dialed 120 on my phone. Hello, This is Building X, Unit X, XX residential community. Someone has severe heat stroke, is unconscious, and is foaming at the mouth. We need emergency rescue. My voice was clear, calm, and devoid of any emotion, like an indifferent bystander on the other end of the line. The siren of the ambulance grew louder as it approached, as if playing a triumphant song for me. I hung up the phone and walked to the window. Lin Chong, the stage I meticulously prepared for you is already set. Mother-in-law, sister-in-law, don't rush to cry. The real show has just begun. In my previous life, you pointed at my nose and called me a murderer. This time, I want to see how you will watch him lie in the ICU with your own eyes, and who will be the one to personally pull the plug on his life. Support 5. By the time I arrived at the hospital, Lin Chong had already been rushed into the ICU. The smell of disinfectant was pungent in the cold corridor. Mother-in-law and Lin Xiaoxiao, one on each side, were putting on a dramatic, tearful performance for a group of so-called relatives. My poor son, how could you have ended up with such a jinx? The mother-in-law beat her chest, crying with her face smeared with snot and tears. She did it on purpose. She was angry because I wouldn't let her turn on the air conditioning, so she deliberately tried to kill my son. Lin Xiaoxiao cried even harder, like a delicate white flower battered by a storm, evoking pity. Uncles and aunts, you must seek justice for my brother. She choked back sobs, and her slender fingers suddenly pointed at me, who had just walked to the end of the corridor. It's her. She's jealous of how close my brother and I are, and has always wanted to drive me out of the house. Today she deliberately turned off the air conditioning and gave me the only fan in the house, just to make my brother suffer from heat stroke in the study. How can her heart be so wicked? Swish! In an instant, everyone's gaze turned into poisoned swords, all shooting towards me. Accusation, contempt, scorn. Those relatives who would only offer fake pleasantries when we met now surrounded me, spitting accusations. Su Qing, how could you be so vicious? Lin Chong is your husband. You never know what someone is truly like, even if they seem quiet on the outside. I never expected you to be such a venomous snake. The Lin family must have had 8 lifetimes of bad luck to marry someone like you. A jinx. I was trapped between them, like a prisoner about to face a public execution. In my previous life, I was also attacked like this. I cried, I screamed, and I explained myself again and again, feebly, that it wasn't me, that I didn't do it, but no one believed me. They only believed the facts they wanted to believe and only cared to witness the tears of the weak. And now, looking at these ugly, contorted faces before me, I found it all absurd and laughable. I offered no rebuttal, no explanation. In fact, I couldn't even be bothered to give a single superfluous expression. I simply stood there, like a cold sculpture, letting their foul words wash over me. In their eyes, my calmness was interpreted as acquiescence, as guilt. Seeing this, my mother-in-law's arrogance grew even bolder. She roared and lunged at me, raising her rough hand, about to slap my face. I'll kill you, you wicked woman. Give me back my son's life. I didn't even lift my eyelids, just gently turned my body. Her powerful slap missed. She stumbled from the force of her swing, almost falling headfirst to the ground, but was luckily caught by Lin Xiaoxiao, who reacted quickly. Sister-in-law, how could you dodge? Lin Xiaoxiao held my wobbly mother-in-law, looking at me with shock and disapproval, as if I had committed some heinous crime. Mom was just too heartbroken to lash out. 6. Sad, I finally spoke, my voice not loud, but like an ice pick, instantly piercing the noisy wails in the corridor. So sad that even when your own son is foaming at the mouth and unconscious, you can't bear to press the 120 button. One sentence, like a bombshell, detonated in the crowd. My mother-in-law's crying stopped abruptly. A visible flicker of panic crossed her face. You, what nonsense are you talking about? When did I? You didn't call. I tilted my head and slowly took out my phone from my bag. My fingertip lightly tapped the screen, opening the call log, and then I pressed the speakerphone. A recording flowed clearly through the dead silent corridor. On the phone, my voice, calm to the point of being indifferent, formed a stark contrast with my mother-in-law's furious, hysterical screams, all to save money on an ambulance fee. The entire corridor fell silent in an instant. On everyone's faces, expressions of disbelief were frozen. They looked at me, then at my mother-in-law, whose face was as pale as a ghost, and in their eyes, contempt and disgust began to shift to a new target. Is this real? My God, to save a few hundred yuan, you'd even risk your son's life. The mother-in-law was completely flustered. She grabbed Lin Xiaoxiao's arm and stammered in defense. No, it's not like that. I was just stunned. Yes, I was stunned. I let out a cold laugh, a laugh filled with ice. I think you're just desperate from poverty. You, Mom, Interrupted her sophistry, slowly approaching her step by step. With every step I took, she and Lin Xiaoxiao involuntarily took a step back with me. Did you forget? I stopped, looking at her pupils that suddenly constricted in terror, that we installed surveillance cameras at home. What surveillance cameras? Her voice was trembling. Oh, I forgot to tell you. The smile on my face became even more innocent and pure. A few days ago, I said that the 500 yuan in my drawer was missing. Lin Chong said that a thief might have entered the house, and for safety, he installed hidden cameras in the living room and study. I paused, admiring the moment my mother-in-law and Lin Xiaoxiao lost all color from their faces, the smile at the corner of my mouth deepening. Lin Chong also said that he originally wanted to give you a surprise on your birthday. How is it? Do you too like this surprise? I shook the phone in my hand, my fingertip already tapping open the monitoring app. Since all of you uncles and aunties are so concerned about how Lin Chong got heat stroke, why don't we all take a look at the truth together? I pressed the play button. The next second, everyone saw a scene that defied their imagination, more sordid and shameless than any drama. 7. My living room appeared clearly on the phone screen. The video began. I smiled and turned off the air conditioner, then turned to solicitously serve my mother-in-law a cup of hot tea. That was the subservient posture I had once taken for granted. The expressions of several relatives instantly became subtle. This, Su Qing seems to treat her mother-in-law quite well. Yes, what a filial child. My mother-in-law's face, like a palette, turned green, then red. That feeling was more embarrassing than being slapped publicly several times. The video continued to play. I moved the only fan in the house into Lin Xiaoxiao's room, then picked up my bag and left. In the living room, only Lin Chong and Lin Xiaoxiao remained. The next second, a collective gasp echoed through the hallway. Lin Xiaoxiao, like a boneless snake, languidly wrapped herself around Lin Cheng's neck, her voice sickeningly sweet. Brother, the air in the house smells sweeter now that sister-in-law is gone. Lin Chong, with undisguised affection, reached out and playfully flicked her nose. You're so sweet talking. Before he finished speaking, he scooped Lin Xiaoxiao up by the waist and pressed her heavily onto the sofa. Brother, what are you doing? This is the living room. What are you afraid of? There's no one else at home. That surveillance camera. Don't worry. Lin Cheng's voice was filled with contempt and disdain for me. That fool installed it. I figured him out long ago. This angle definitely won't capture the sofa. He thought he had planned everything perfectly and could control the whole situation. He didn't know that his supposed cleverness was precisely the path to the underworld I had paved for him. I had deliberately hidden a pinhole camera in the lush pothose plant in the living room directly facing the sofa. Therefore, everything that happened next was recorded without the slightest omission. Unspeakable scenes, accompanied by even more unbearable dialogue, clearly emerged. The two kissed and caressed each other wantonly, their clothes in disarray. Brother, you're so hot. Your sweat is dripping on my face. It's so annoying. You find me hot. Lin Chong chuckled lowly, his movements becoming more fervent. Then I'll make it hotter. Okay. Oh, brother, you're so wicked. The entire corridor was deathly silent. Everyone was dumbfounded, their worldviews shattered. They were siblings. Even if Lin Xiaoxiao was adopted, this was too against human nature. The mother-in-law's face was no longer pale, but a deathly gray. She trembled violently, her withered fingers pointing at the screen, her mouth opening and closing but unable to utter a sound, like a fish thrown onto land. The video didn't stop. After the two were intimate, Lin Chong got up. Lin Xiaoxiao, however, grabbed him, her face full of disgust. Brother, you smell of sweat. Don't come into my room. Go to the study. There's no fan in the study. I'll die of heat. Then die of heat. Lin Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes indifferently. Anyway, after you die, this house will be all mine, you ungrateful little thing. Although Lin Chong was scolding, a smile, doting to the bone, remained on his face. Then, he truly walked, looking back step by step, into that human purgatory, devoid of even a wisp of wind, like a steamer. The video ends here. 8. I said nothing, merely quietly admiring my mother-in-law's ashen face. How laughable jealousy and revenge seemed at this moment. What truly pushed Lin Chong into the abyss of death were his most beloved good sister and his most respected good mother. 1. To have the coolness all to herself drove him to die of heat. To save a few hundred yuan, they wouldn't even call an ambulance. Slap. A crisp, loud slap tore through the dead silence. It was Uncle, trembling with rage, pointing at Lin Xiaoxiao's nose and yelling, "How could our Lin family raise such a shameless, ungrateful wretch like you?" I'm not. Lin Xiaoxiao was stunned by the slap, covering her face and stammering incoherently, "You dare to argue?" An aunt also rushed forward like a madwoman, grabbing her hair and scratching her face. "You vixen, you jinx, you killed Lin Chong. It was you." The scene instantly spiraled out of control. Angry relatives surrounded Lin Xiaoxiao, raining blows and kicks upon her, curses, tearing sounds, and cries of anguish filled the air incessantly. She was like a rat crossing the street, thrown into a pack of mice, with everyone wanting to beat her, and I, standing just outside the crowd, curved my lips into a cold smile. This is just the beginning. Ruin and disgrace are merely the start. I watched Lin Xiaoxiao, torn and disheveled by the mob, knowing she was close to her breaking point. As expected, the next second, she suddenly clutched her stomach and let out a piercing scream. Ah, my stomach hurts so much. She violently pushed everyone away, collapsed to the ground, and while wailing, screamed, "Don't force me anymore. If you keep forcing me, I will." She raised her head, her tear-filled eyes sweeping over everyone present, and finally, her gaze fixed intently on her mother-in-law. That look was one of final madness and desperate gamble. "Mom, I'm pregnant with your elder son's child, our Lin family will have an heir." Earth-shattering, the air in the entire corridor seemed to freeze at this moment. Everyone was stunned by this even more explosive news. Cooked to a crisp, Lin Xiaoxiao looked at everyone's reaction, a strange hint of triumph appearing on her face. She thought that by virtue of her son, she could make a comeback from a desperate situation. 9. What did you say? The mother-in-law was struck by a bolt of lightning, frozen in place, unable to move. 1 second, 2 seconds. Instantly, that ashen face was consumed by a distorted, almost frenzied ecstasy. Xiaoxiao, as if driven mad, she shoved aside the relatives blocking her path and scrambled, on all fours, to Lin Xiaoxiao's side. She carefully helped Lin Xiaoxiao up, her movements unusually gentle, her eyes filled with unprecedented reverence and cherish. "Really, is everything you're saying true? You're really carrying our Lin Chang's child?" Lin Xiaoxiao leaned into her mother-in-law's embrace and nodded weakly, but her eyes, poisoned and sharp, looked past her mother-in-law's shoulder and fixed on me, gleaming with the triumphant light of a victor. She was declaring war on me with her gaze. "Su Qing, do you see? Even if my reputation is in tatters, even if everyone curses me, as long as I carry the Lin family's child, I am the ultimate winner, and you, a barren hen who can't even lay an egg, what can you do to fight me? Wonderful, wonderful." The mother-in-law was so excited that tears streamed down her face. She hugged Lin Xiaoxiao as if she were holding a rare treasure. "Our Lin family has an heir, my son has an heir." She suddenly turned around and cried and shouted at the surrounding relatives, looking like a madwoman, "Did you all see that? I have a grandson, a golden grandson. Try anyone who dares to touch her again. Whoever touches her, this old woman will fight them to the death. Whoever touches her is trying to make our Lin family have no descendants." The relatives, who had been indignant moments before, now looked at each other, their arrogance completely gone. In their deeply ingrained beliefs, continuing the family line was paramount. The thing inside Lin Xiaoxiao's belly is the root of the Lin family. The situation turned upside down in an instant. All eyes, once again, focused on me in unison. Their eyes were filled with sympathy and pity, as if looking at a pathetic figure. A man whose wife had cheated, the mistress had moved in and was pregnant. I watched their colorful expressions change. Feeling that this farce had finally reached its most entertaining moment, I couldn't help but let out a laugh. The laugh was extremely light, yet it was like a sharp ice pick, precisely piercing the absurd ecstasy of the scene. 10. Congratulations. As I gently applauded them, I slowly took a manila envelope out of my bag. My movements were unhurried and elegant. To celebrate the birth of your son, the eldest branch of the family must naturally present a congratulatory gift. I pulled out the documents from the paper bag. Then, in front of everyone, bang, I slammed the file down on my mother-in-law's desk. The sound made everyone's heart skip a beat. "This is Lin Chang's physical examination report from last week." I surveyed the room, my smile unwavering, but my eyes were as cold as a deep pool. Originally, he intended to give the whole family a surprise, but now it seems this surprise is more fitting for the two of you. My mother-in-law picked up the papers with suspicion, and Lin Xiaoxiao leaned in curiously. Their gazes shifted from confusion to curiosity, finally fixating on the bolded, enlarged black characters. Time seemed to stand still at this moment. The ecstatic joy on the mother-in-law's face gradually stiffened. The smugness in Lin Xiaoxiao's eyes also faded bit by bit. Their expressions were like scenes frozen by a pause button. Frame by frame, they solidified, cracked, and finally turned to dust. This is impossible. What is this? The mother-in-law's voice trembled uncontrollably. Those few light pieces of paper now felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds, slipping from her shaking hands. "Oh, it's nothing." I smiled innocently and bent down to pick up the report. "It's just a definitive assessment of Mr. Lin Chang's fertility." I paused, thoroughly enjoying the sight of the color draining from their faces. Then, I leaned in slightly and, in a voice that cut like a knife, read out the final judgment. Severe oligospermia, my voice echoed clearly in the deathly silent corridor. His sperm motility is 95% below the normal standard, according to authoritative medical judgment. I deliberately drew out the sound, watching Lin Xiaoxiao's pupils contract sharply, and her hand instinctively clutching her belly. Her natural fertility rate is 0. As the last word fell, the entire world fell silent. In other words, I looked at Lin Xiaoxiao's face, as pale as paper, and smiled even more cruelly. It's absolutely impossible for him to make any woman pregnant, so, my dear sister, I smiled at her, but my eyes were icy cold, as if they could slice her to pieces. Can you tell me now, whose bastard is this in your belly? 11. You're lying, Lin Xiaoxiao shrieked like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, completely tearing off her pitiful facade. This is fake, you forged it, Su Qing. You poisonous woman, to get back at us, you actually forged something like this to slander my brother. She lunged at me like a madwoman, her nails outstretched, aiming straight for the report in my hand. I just shifted my body slightly, letting her lunge into empty air. Lin Xiaoxiao's last lifeline was the Lin family bloodline in her belly. She absolutely could not let it break. Mom, look, this woman has a heart of a snake. She can't stand to see our family doing well, can't stand to see you having a grandson. She wants to destroy our Lin family. Lin Xiaoxiao cried out with a hoarse, desperate voice. My mother-in-law seemed instantly awakened, those murky eyes reignited with a venomous flame. She didn't check the authenticity of the report, nor did she consider the origin of the child in Lin Xiaoxiao's belly. All she knew was that I, Su Qing, was the culprit who had shattered her dream of a golden grandson. You jinx. She suddenly rushed forward, wrapped her arms around my leg, and collapsed to the ground, throwing a tantrum. I don't care. It's your fault my son ended up like this. You have to take responsibility. Give me the money. Hand over all your savings to treat my son, otherwise, I'll sue you. I'll sue you for attempted murder. You'll spend the rest of your life in prison. Her bony hands clamped around my calf like iron pincers, her nails digging deep into my flesh. The relatives around exchanged uneasy glances, their previously clear stance beginning to waver once more. The complexity and ugliness of human nature were laid bare in this moment, utterly and completely. Sue me. I lowered my gaze, looking down at the old man making a complete fool of himself at my feet, my voice betraying not a single ripple of emotion. Fine, but before you sue me, why not take a look at how Lin Chang managed to throw his own life away, step by step? My words caused the other person who had remained silent all along to jolt violently. That was my father-in-law, Lin Jiangwo, a man who valued his reputation above all else. 12. Dad, I looked past my mother-in-law who was throwing a tantrum, my gaze fixed directly on my father-in-law in the corner. From the moment I arrived at the hospital, he hadn't said a word, like a shadow detached from this situation, but I knew he cared more about the Lin family's reputation than anyone. You don't believe one report? Fine. My voice wasn't loud, but it reached everyone's ears clearly. What about these? From my bag, I pulled out another stack of things, not just one, but a whole stack. I bent down, ignoring my mother-in-law's tugging, and spread those papers, one by one, on the floor in front of her, as if presenting some kind of offering. This is Lin Chang's bank statements from the past year. I pointed at the shocking large transfer records listed one by one. The payee, in every case, is Lin Xiaoxiao. It's normal for a brother to spoil his little sister, give her some pocket money. I smiled, looking at Lin Xiaoxiao, whose face had already begun to turn pale. But what kind of brother would transfer 50,000 yuan in pocket money to his sister every month? What kind of brother would send amounts like 52,000 or 13,140 on Valentine's Day or the Qixi festival? A wave of suppressed gasps rippled through the crowd. The mother-in-law's wailing subsided as she stared in disbelief at the bank statements on the floor. Lin Xiaoxiao's body had already begun to tremble uncontrollably. This is just my brother caring about my poor health, giving me money to buy supplements. She was still making a last-ditch effort. Buy supplements. The smile at the corner of my mouth grew even colder. Do I need to buy supplements by purchasing a 120 square meter apartment in the most upscale residential complex in the city center? I gently placed the final document on top of the stack of bank statements. It was a copy of a property contract. Buyer, Lin Chang. And in the column for the property owner, 2 characters were clearly written: Lin Xiaoxiao. This property was just transferred last month. Looking at my father-in-law's face, which instantly flushed red with blood, I spoke clearly, word by word. Full payment, 3 million. Dad, Do you know where this 3 million came from? My voice, like a knife tempered in ice, plunged straight into the most hypocritical heart of this family. My father-in-law suddenly looked up, his bloodshot eyes fixed intently on me. This money was the dowry my parents gave me when I got married. Lin Chang told me at the time that a friend of his had a project with a very high return on investment. He said if we invested it, it would double in less than 3 years. I believed him. I looked at Lin Xiaoxiao's pale, bloodless face and smiled. So, the investment went to his good sister. It's not the investment that doubled, it's the bed. What a great deal this was. I took one last look at the tightly shut ICU door, using my money to support his mistress, buy her a house, and almost even pass off the bastard in her belly as part of our Lin family. Dad, I turned to Lin Jiangwo, who was already trembling with rage, his lips turning purple. Tell me, can our Lin family still hold its head up? 13, bastard. A deafening roar erupted from Lin Jiangwo. He was like a lion utterly enraged, his bloodshot eyes blazing with murderous fury, but he didn't charge at me. Instead, he turned and, mustering all his strength, delivered a vicious slap across his mother's face. Smack. The sound echoed through the entire corridor, at least 10 times heavier than when the eldest uncle had struck Lin Xiaoxiao earlier. The force of the blow sent the old woman flying, crashing into the wall before tumbling to the floor, blood immediately trickling from the corner of her mouth. Wan Shoulian, Lin Jiangwo pointed at his wife on the ground, his chest heaving. This is the good son you raised. This is the good thing you picked up from outside. Prodigal, debauched, shameless. With every word he spoke, it was as if he was expending all his life's strength. My lifelong reputation, Lin Jiangwo's reputation, has been completely ruined today by you two scoundrels. He was so angry that his vision went black, and he stumbled, being supported by a relative beside him. Everyone was so shocked by the sudden turn of events that they dared not make a sound. The mother-in-law covered her face, stunned. She had probably never been hit by her husband like this in her entire life. As for Lin Xiaoxiao, she completely collapsed on the ground, like a puddle of mud. She knew she was finished the moment her father-in-law turned his anger towards his wife. It meant that no one in this family would protect her anymore. Lin Jiangwo panted, his eyes like knives, sweeping over Lin Xiaoxiao on the ground. He didn't say another word of nonsense. He simply took out his phone and made a call. His voice was so cold it lacked any warmth, filled with the oppressive authority of someone in a superior position. Old Zhang. It's me, Lin Jiangwo. Has your son, Zhang Wei, been getting close to a girl named Lin Xiaoxiao recently? Something was said on the other end of the phone. Lin Jiangwo's expression grew even more grim. I don't care what their relationship is. Now, immediately, at once, have your son take her to the hospital and deal with what's in her belly. Otherwise, your little company won't be able to operate in this city tomorrow. Beep beep beep. He hung up the phone. The entire corridor was silent. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone understood. The old man didn't even bother to ask who the bastard's father was. He severed Lin Xiaoxiao's last shred of hope in the most direct and cruel way. The last trace of color drained from Lin Xiaoxiao's face. She opened her mouth, making a ho-ho sound, as if her throat was choked, unable to utter a single word. Despair, like a tide, completely engulfed her. After doing all this, Lin Jiangwo seemed to have all his strength drained away. He slowly turned around, his gaze falling on the closed door of the ICU. Behind that door lay his only son. The one who had brought him shame and dishonor to the family. The relatives held their breath, watching him with trepidation. A long silence. A smile, more pain than a cry, appeared on Lin Jiangwo's weathered face. Treat him, he whispered, as if asking himself, or perhaps everyone present, treat him with what? With Su Qing's dowry money. We Lin family. He took a deep breath, as if mustering his last shred of dignity. Cannot afford to lose face like this. He looked at the nurse on duty not far away, his voice hoarse, yet exceptionally firm. Nurse, notify the doctor, give up treatment, consider me, Lin Jiangwo, as if I never had this beast. 14, no, a piercing scream, unlike any human sound, erupted from the mother-in-law's throat. She sprang up from the ground as if in a final burst of energy, lunging at Lin Jiangwo like a madwoman. Lin Jiangwo, are you crazy? He's your son, your own son. She beat and bit him, looking utterly deranged. How could you be so heartless? How could you abandon him? Lin Jiangwo let her beat him, motionless, his face a deathly pallor. Son, he murmured, the moment he reached for his wife's dowry for an outsider, he ceased to be my son. He is the shame of my Lin family. No, I don't agree. Anyone who dares to pull out my son's tubes, I'll fight them to the death. The mother-in-law cried out and turned to rush into the ICU. Several relatives quickly stepped forward and held her back tightly. The corridor was in chaos. Crying, Shouting, cursing, I stood quietly in the center of the chaos, like an indifferent spectator, enjoying this farce that I had directed myself. The mother-in-law looked at the relatives blocking her, at her husband with a look of determination, and at Lin Xiaoxiao, who was like a puddle of mud on the ground. All her hopes, all her reliance, collapsed in that instant. My son is dying, the golden grandson is fake, the family is also broken. The light in her eyes flickered out, little by little. Finally, her eyes rolled back, and she fell straight backward. Mom, Shilian. The crowd stirred again, and they hastily carried her to a nearby chair. Pinch the philtrum, call the doctor, and I just cast a cold glance, then turned and left this hospital filled with filth and despair. The commotion behind me, I shutted out the door. The sunlight outside, so dazzling it made one want to cry, but I didn't. My tears had already dried up in my previous life. For the next few days, I didn't return to that called home. I moved back to my parents' home. My mother, seeing my increasingly gaunt face, asked nothing, but quietly cooked the dishes I loved. The third day, I received a call from the hospital. On the other end of the line was the nurse's formulaic voice. Is this the family of Mr. Lin Chong, MS, Su Qing? I am. We are notifying you that Mr. Lin Chong passed away at 10:23 this morning due to multiple organ failure. Resuscitation was unsuccessful. Please come to the hospital as soon as possible to complete the necessary procedures. Okay. I hung up the phone, my heart as calm as a still, ancient well. Lin Chong, you're finally dead. Died in the 40-degree inferno, jointly created for you by your beloved sister and your most doting mother. Not a single loved one by your side as you died. This is the last dignity I bestow upon you. 15. I went to the hospital and signed the papers. In the morgue, I saw Lin Chang's body. That once handsome face was shriveled and sallow from extreme dehydration, his lips cracked and lifeless like a mummy that had been dried out for a long time. I couldn't even find a trace of the man I once loved on his face. So, hate can truly erase everything. Lin Chang's funeral was extremely somber. Lin Jiangwo did not attend. He asked my uncle to convey to me that the Lin family was sorry to me. All of Lin Chang's property will belong to me. He won't fight for a single cent, including the house bought for Lin Xiaoxiao with my dowry money. He only cares about his last shred of dignity. Mother-in-law Wan Sholian has been somewhat mentally unstable since she fainted that day, sometimes lucid, sometimes confused. When lucid, she points at Lin Jiangwo and curses him for being heartless and for causing the death of their only son. When confused, she hugs a pillow, calling out, my dear grandchild, crying and laughing under the double blow of immense humiliation and the grief of losing his son. Lin Jiangwo rapidly aged. Not long after the funeral, she divorced her mother-in-law. He sold the old house that held countless nightmares for me, gave me half the money, and then, alone, left the city that had caused him so much shame, disappearing without a trace. As for Lin Xiaoxiao, I never saw her again. Later, I heard my paternal aunt gossiping on the phone. She said that after being taken away by her lover's family that day, she was forcibly taken to have an abortion. Her lover's family had some money and valued their reputation greatly. Fearing retribution from the Lin family, they gave her a sum of money once the matter was settled and sent her away like trash, far away. From then on, she disappeared from everyone's sight. A family, just like that, fell apart. It disintegrated, utterly defeated. I stood at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, holding the court's judgment and the property deeds for 2 apartments. The staff stamped spouse deceased on my divorce agreement, canceling it. From then on, I had nothing to do with Lin Chong or that home. I was free. That's the end of the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more exciting. My best friend was diagnosed with cancer, ran away from home, and then committed suicide. She left behind only a suicide note and a pair of 8-year-old twins, a boy and a girl. You're the only person I can rely on in this world. I'm not asking you to adopt them, just to give the children a meal or two. I couldn't bear to refuse and adopted the siblings. For the past 20 years, my husband and I have worked together to buy cars and houses for the 2 children. As a result, the adopted daughter turned around and accused my husband at the police station of being a scumbag with a beastly heart. My best friend, who had died years ago, suddenly came forward to testify. I questioned her why she did this. My best friend was heartbroken. I treated you as my best sister, but I never expected you to adopt a child just to serve your husband. My husband was disgraced and imprisoned. I ran around everywhere, just to get an explanation, but was forcibly sent to a mental hospital by my adopted son and died of depression. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my best friend was diagnosed with cancer. Nian Nian, I have pancreatic cancer. It's advanced. The doctor said I don't have much time left. Looking at Su Wenwen, who was crying pitifully before me, I clenched my fists. In my previous life, I was completely fooled by her appearance. I squandered my fortune to pay for her medical treatment and adopted her children, only to end up with a ruined family. I lowered my eyes, concealing the hatred within, and feigned a look of shock and heartache. How could this happen? How could it suddenly be? Seeing that I had taken the bait, Su Wenwen cried even harder. I don't dare to tell the children, they are still so young. What will happen to them in the future? Nian Nian, you are the only one I can trust in this world. She grabbed my hand, her palm covered in sweat. I'm not asking you to adopt them, just give them a little food. Enough to keep them from starving. I gently patted her back, offering insincere comfort. Don't panic, we'll figure something out together. I knew you wouldn't refuse me. I forced a smile. Focus on your recovery. Your family members will help with the child's matters in the future. I scoffed inwardly, knowing I would never help. Su Wenwen clutched my hand tightly, tears streaming down her face, her voice trembling. Nian Nian, do you know how difficult my life has been all these years? Back then, I was pregnant before marriage. I was overjoyed, thinking I would have a home with the child's father. But when he found out I was pregnant, he disappeared without a trace. I gritted my teeth and gave birth to the child alone. I thought that no matter how hard life was, as long as I had my child, there would be hope. She took a deep breath, sobbing uncontrollably. I have no parents, and those so-called relatives, I see them at most once a year. They are more like strangers than anything else. For so many years, if it weren't for you, my childhood friend, I don't know how I would have gotten through it. Now that I have this illness again, I'm not afraid of death, but I can't stop worrying about my children. They are so young. How will they live without their mother? As she spoke, her knees buckled and she knelt before me, grabbing my leg and crying out, I beg you, for the sake of our many years of friendship, please help my children. Su Wenwen's words were full of sorrow and grief, but I knew in my heart that this was just a ploy. With a look of carefully crafted difficulty on my face, I gently helped her up and said with a sigh, I never said I wouldn't take care of your children. Get up quickly. I paused, looking at her increasingly anxious eyes, and continued, but rest assured, with our years of friendship, I will definitely not abandon your children. I will provide financial support and help with their daily needs, ensuring they have no worries about food or clothing, and that they can always find me if they face any difficulties. Upon hearing this, a flicker of unwillingness crossed Su Wenwen's face. She wanted to persuade further, but the words caught in her throat, and she swallowed them back. She opened her mouth, but in the end, only said, I know you are kind-hearted, but in my heart, I'm still uneasy. After all, the child is closest to you, and I'm afraid. I patted her hand, my tone firm. Put your mind at ease, since I promised I will definitely do it. Your most important task now is to recuperate. Don't overthink anything else. Seeing my resolute attitude, Su Wenwen knew she couldn't change anything for the moment. She could only get up helplessly. Before leaving, she didn't forget to instruct, Nian Nian, then it's all up to you. As a mother, I'm truly at my wit's end. I smiled and nodded, watching her leave, a cold smile in my heart. This contest has only just begun. After Su Wenwen left, I sat alone on the sofa. My husband came home early from work, and the moment he saw me, his long-suppressed emotions finally broke through, and he burst into tears. Wife, I thought I would never see you again, that I would never be able to live with you again. I gently patted his back, tears also welling up in my eyes. He had also been reborn. The next day, we discussed how to deal with everything that was to come. As we were talking, the doorbell suddenly rang. I got up to open the door and saw Su Wenwen standing at the entrance with a big smile on her face, carrying bags of gifts, and followed by two children, her twins. Nian Nian, I came to see you. Her voice was still gentle, but I could hear the pretense in it. I watched her with cold eyes, a silent sneer in my heart, but outwardly, I calmly stepped aside to let them in. Come in quickly, no need to be so formal. My tone was flat, devoid of the warmth I once had. Su Wenwen walked into the living room, set the gifts aside, and pulled the two children along, saying, Children, quickly say hello to Auntie and Uncle. The two children obediently called out, their voices timid. My husband came out from the kitchen, and the moment he saw the two children and Su Wenwen, a flicker of barely perceptible disgust crossed his eyes, but he quickly regained his composure. Miss Su, what brings you here? Please have a seat. Is there something you need from us? My husband's tone was direct. Without any pleasantries, Su Wenwen seemed oblivious to our coldness, squeezed out a few tears, and began to cry. My health has been deteriorating lately, and I can't stop worrying about these two children. I know you are good people. Could you possibly? Su Wenwen rambled on about her hardships, subtly hinting that she hoped we would adopt the children. My husband and I exchanged a look, seeing the sarcasm in each other's eyes, but we continued to listen patiently. interjecting with a few words of agreement from time to time. I knew you wouldn't abandon me. You saved my life, and if you could adopt my children, I could die with my eyes closed. Su Wenwen held my hand, tears welling up in her eyes. My eyes reddened, and I put on a sympathetic expression, holding her hand and saying, "Don't say such disheartening things. Medicine is very advanced now, with new treatments and drugs appearing every day. You are so young, a miracle is bound to happen." I got up to get the car keys. "I happen to know a few oncologists. I'll accompany you to the hospital today for a comprehensive checkup. Perhaps there's a new turning point." Su Wenwen's face instantly became unnatural, her eyes darted away, and she subconsciously flinched back. "Ah, it shouldn't be this troublesome. I've had many checkups at the hospital before." I feigned confusion and said with a face full of concern, "One more checkup means one more peace of mind. Besides, perhaps there are more advanced diagnostic methods now that can find better treatment options. Don't refuse. The children would definitely want their mother to get better, right?" As I spoke, I smiled and looked at the two children hiding behind her. Before Su Wenwen could say anything else, I directly took her arm and, half jokingly, half forcefully, pulled her out, saying, let's go. The car is downstairs. This checkup must be done today." Su Wenwen's body tensed up instantly, and she struggled in a panic. Her eyes darted around anxiously, and then she suddenly slapped her forehead as if remembering something important. "Oh my, I just remembered, the teacher from the children's after-school program just messaged me, saying the child left something important behind and I need to take it to them right away. It's really urgent. I can't go to the hospital today." Before she finished speaking, she abruptly broke free from my grasp. Without regard for the two children startled by her sudden movement, she hastily bent down and grabbed the bag placed beside her. She didn't even put on her shoes properly before rushing towards the door in a flurry, leaving behind and next time, then, with a bang, she closed the door, her footsteps quickly disappearing down the hallway. A few days after Su Wenwen's hasty departure, an unknown number called. As soon as I pressed the answer button, an anxious voice came from the other end of the line. "Is this MS Lin Yin? This is the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Su Wenwen has passed away unexpectedly, as her emergency contact. Please come and confirm." Upon hearing this news, my husband and I exchanged glances. We rushed to the scene immediately. At this moment, the two children were brought over by the police. Tears streaked their faces, and they looked pitiful. However, my husband and I are no longer the kind of people who are easily soft-hearted as in our previous life. We clearly remember the trap they, along with Su Wenwen, set for us in our previous life. As expected, during our conversation with the police, I noticed the boy, Cece, secretly give the girl a look. The calculation in that gaze was completely unlike what an 8-year-old child should possess. The police asked us about the children's placement. Cece, as if prepared, suddenly knelt before me with a thud, crying out, "Auntie, Mom is gone. I only have you now. Please adopt me and my sister. We'll be very obedient." I watched him perform, sneering inwardly, but my face remained impassive. My husband stepped forward, helped him up, and said with a gentle expression, "My child, please don't say such things. Don't be afraid. Your maternal grandparents and other relatives will surely not abandon you." He took a step forward, tightly grasped the corner of my clothes, his voice choked with tears and full of pleading. "Auntie, please take us in. We have no parents, no home. We are truly pitiful. We can work for you like oxen and horses. Do any kind of work, please." My sister also timidly peeked her head out. "Auntie, I will definitely be good and obedient." Seeing that I was unmoved, the little boy suddenly knelt down in front of me, his eyes red and his voice choked with tears. "Auntie Lin, don't you remember? My mother was your savior. She risked her life to save you back then. Now that she's gone, we have no one to rely on. How can you bear to abandon us?" The little girl also started crying and clung tightly to my leg. "Auntie Lin, if you don't take us in, Mother won't rest in peace in heaven. Auntie Lin, I remember Mother always mentioned you, saying you were the person she cared about most. She fell ill trying to save you. And now that she's gone, we only have you. How can you watch your savior's children become homeless?" The surrounding people gathered around, looking at the two children and starting to whisper, "With their parents gone, how will these two children survive?" "Exactly. I heard their parents entrusted these children to this young lady before they died. How can she not take care of them? Her mother considered you family. Now that she has passed away and entrusted her children to you out of trust, how can you be so heartless?" The voices of the crowd surged towards me like a tide, suffocating me. I feigned a touch to my slightly rounded belly, took a deep breath, and spoke with difficulty. "I'm sorry, I really can't adopt you. The child in my belly makes it impossible for me to take care of myself." The little boy clearly froze for a moment. Someone said earnestly, "Raising one child is the same as raising two. You might as well see it through. These two children will definitely be grateful to you in the future." "That's right, sister. If you raise them well now, you'll have great fortune in the future. Don't be so heartless. The mother of these children entrusted them to you, and I didn't expect you to be so hesitant." Hearing the discussions around me, my grievances welled up, my eyes reddened, and I raised my voice to retort, "You all say I'm heartless, that I don't care for these two children. But what about you, since you're so full of love? Why don't you take them and raise them yourselves?" My voice trembled slightly with emotion. My friend did indeed ask me to look after them, but never said anything about adoption. "I'm pregnant myself. I really can't manage." I looked at the little boy who was still tightly clutching the corner of my clothes. "Child, it's not that Auntie is heartless. Auntie has her own difficulties. Children, I can't take you home, but I will definitely help you. Do you know about orphanages? Or, I can help you find and send you to a warm place where there are many friends and people to take care of you." The little boy looked panicked, as if he hadn't expected me to answer like this. The girl sobbed softly, mumbling, "Auntie, I'm scared. We don't want to go to the orphanage." I suppressed my nausea, gently patted her head, and continued, "The uncles and aunties at the orphanage are very kind and will take care of you like family. Also, if you encounter any difficulties in the future, whether in your studies or in life, you can contact me. You must remember my phone number." After speaking, I took out paper and a pen from my bag and wrote down my contact information. The little boy, who had been tightly clutching the corner of my clothes, slowly let go and took out a crumpled letter from his worn-out school bag. His hands trembled slightly, and his voice was choked with tears. "Auntie, this is a suicide note left by my mother." He carefully unfolded it. "My mother said that you are her only good friend in this life." I took the suicide note. The paper was yellowed, and the handwriting was a bit blurry. My thoughts drifted back to the past involuntarily. Su Wenwen and I both came from the same remote mountain village surrounded by mountains. A winding dirt road was the only passage to the outside world at that time. My parents went out to work to make a living, and I became a left-behind child, living with my elderly grandparents. Su Wenwen's family lived right next door to mine. I remember one summer, it rained heavily, and the small river in the village swelled. I accidentally fell into the water while playing by the river. The rushing current instantly engulfed me, and fear and despair enveloped me tightly. Just when I thought I was going to die there, it was Su Wenwen, who was a good swimmer, who pulled me up. She saved my life. As an only child, I have no siblings, and I have come to regard Su Wenwen as a close sister. I genuinely like her. She dropped out of school early due to her family's preference for sons over daughters and started working at the age of 15. I got into a big city for high school and reunited with her. Su Wenwen is very generous. Every month when she got paid, she would pick me up at the school gate after class and we would go out to eat. After graduating from university, I followed the usual path and worked in international trade, where I met my husband, who came from a big city. Su Wenwen had been a waitress for so many years, and perhaps seeing that I had found a boyfriend with good conditions, she became unbalanced and quietly exited my life. Not long after, she excitedly told me she was pregnant. Later I found out that Su Wenwen worked as a receptionist at a hotel and met a generous man. Unfortunately, he was married with a family and was a live-in son-in-law, with no intention of taking responsibility for her. Su Wenwen was extremely disappointed, but unfortunately, after this pregnancy, she could no longer conceive. Perhaps feeling embarrassed in front of me, she intentionally neglected me during her pregnancy. After giving birth, Su Wenwen started working again. Not long after, she contacted me again, claiming she had cancer. She then left home to die, leaving me with her two children and a suicide note. The two children were emaciated and sallow, a heartbreaking sight for any adult. I cried bitterly. Su Wenwen's parents had no concern for her life or death. Her relatives all avoided her, unwilling to raise her children for no reason. After much deliberation, these two children could only be cared for by me, their good sister. Of course, I had no objections. I could manage to take care of her children. However, Su Wenwen's son, Cici, knelt down and kowtowed to me, begging me to adopt his sister. My heart was filled with compassion. I was already a firm believer in being dink, double income, no kids, and didn't want to endure the pain of childbirth. I decided to go all in and brought the two children home with me. I discussed it with my husband. I thought he would object, but to my surprise, he readily agreed. "You said Su Wenwen saved your life, so we have no reason to abandon the two children she left behind. You wouldn't be at ease if they were sent elsewhere and you couldn't see them." since you don't want to have children anyway, why don't you adopt them?" I was overjoyed, seeing how well-behaved and sensible the two children were, taking care of themselves on their first day. It seemed they wouldn't require too much effort to send the two children to a better international school. My husband treated people to meals and gave gifts. I wasn't idle either. The two children were severely malnourished, so I studied to become a nutritionist. I worked 9 to 6 while also meticulously planning their 3 meals a day. We enrolled them in countless tutoring classes, all with the aim of nurturing them into pillars of the nation. Our adopted son's excellent academic performance brought us a sense of relief. Our adopted daughter enjoys following celebrities and has decided to pursue an artistic path, which we fully support. We strive to satisfy their material needs as much as possible. If other children have something, they must have it too. Like my husband, I cherished and doted on these two children. After living together for so long, I had long considered them my own. This continued until the two children grew up and were ready to get married. My husband and I bought a house for our adopted son to get married without a second thought, and we provided the bride's family with all the essentials, betrothal gifts, a car, and home furnishings. To ensure our adopted daughter wouldn't feel any less fortunate, she received everything her brother had. My husband said that a girl might not be able to hold her head up in her in-laws' home after marriage, so we prepared a chest full of gold bars just for her dowry. All of this seemed perfect, but good times don't last. I never would have imagined that after the house transfer was successful and our assets were divided equally, they would turn around and bite us. The adopted daughter told everyone that her adoptive father was a beast worse than pigs and dogs. She tearfully recounted how she had suffered mental torment and physical abuse in private all these years. The adopted son also came forward to testify. My adopted daughter posted on social media that she had been taking medication to combat depression. The lengthy, rambling post nailed my husband and me to the pillory. The neighbors and friends who once praised our couple now looked at us with suspicion and disgust, and Su Wenwen, the best friend I once considered my savior and confidant, stood on the opposite side of us. She tearfully accused us, her grief-stricken appearance making those who didn't know better truly believe we had done something unforgivable. "I considered you my best sister, and I never expected you to adopt a child just to serve your husband." Her words were like a sharp blade, piercing directly into my heart. "Wenwen, why are you doing this? How have we, as a couple, failed the child or you in any way over the years?" I questioned her, my voice trembling with anger. Su Wenwen just cried, her tears devoid of any guilt, instead seeming to exude a twisted pleasure. "Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? You just want to use my child as free labor, as your appendage." Her words were illogical, filled with baseless accusations. The moment my husband was taken away by the police, he looked back at me, his eyes full of helplessness and trust. "Wife, I believe you will uncover the truth and clear our names." His voice was firm, but it made my heart clench even tighter. I began to rush around, searching for evidence, trying to clear my husband's name. Every night, I spent sleeplessly, my mind replaying every moment of these past years, unable to comprehend how our sincere hearts had led to such an end. However, my efforts seemed so pale and powerless against their meticulously planned conspiracy. My adopted son also joined their ranks. He was no longer the obedient and sensible child he once was, but looked at me with a cold expression, as if I were his enemy. "Auntie, you've earned a lot from me calling you mom for so many years. Don't worry, I won't abandon you. This mental hospital was carefully chosen by me. You'll live a good life here from now on." His words chilled me to the bone. Everyone around me avoided me like the plague, and my relatives and friends began to distance themselves from me, as if I were truly a heinous criminal. In the end, my adopted son, citing my mental instability, forcibly admitted me to a mental hospital. Heaven has given me a chance to start over. I have returned to the day my best friend was diagnosed with cancer. This time, I will never let them succeed again. I looked up and at these two young children, truly as dramatic as their mother. "Auntie, we haven't been freeloading. This money is all that my mother left behind for living expenses. Please help us out this one time." "Okay, when I grow up, I will definitely be filial to you." The little girl tremblingly took out a savings passbook and forced it into my bag. I pretended to be heartbroken and quickly returned the passbook to her. "You poor child, you can't give something like this to an outsider like me." I quickly asked the police officer to find a good orphanage for these two children. The police officer understood the situation, as I am not the children's direct relative. Why should they expect me to raise these two children alone? The boy saw the police officer and immediately called someone from his family, his expression instantly becoming flustered and angry. He quickly grabbed my hand. "Auntie, I don't want to go to any orphanage. Please don't be so heartless." I sighed helplessly. "Little one, I'm not your direct family member. I'll visit you often in the future. Please accept my condolences. Just when I thought this matter was over, my friend's anxious voice came through the receiver. Quick, check online. It's all people cursing you. My heart sank, and as I opened social media, I was instantly overwhelmed by a flood of negative comments. A video was trending, and it was a recording of the scene at the funeral home entrance that day. The surrounding crowd chimed in. This girl took the child's money but neglected the two children, sending them straight to the orphanage. She's truly insane. I heard she also manipulated them, driving them to run away from home and commit suicide, all to seize the family fortune. How wicked. The netizens took things out of context, based solely on this one-sided video. They were convinced I was a heinous criminal. Seeing those malicious comments, I trembled with anger and frantically dialed the police. When the call was connected, I explained the whole story to the police officer with a choked voice, full of hope for help. However, the police officer's response chilled me. In this situation, what we can mainly do is ask the person who posted the video to delete it. From a legal perspective, there are no further mandatory measures at present. I thought the matter would be settled then, but unexpectedly, those self-righteous netizens escalated their actions. They started doxing my personal information, and soon my workplace and home address were exposed. Even more outrageous, someone online added fuel to the fire, saying, "She took $1 million from the child's mother to take care of the child, but now she has abandoned the child at the orphanage without spending a penny." The rumors spread more and more outrageously. I went to the bank and printed out a detailed bank statement. Every income and expenditure was clear, enough to prove that I had never taken any money from Su Wenwen. Afterwards, I took photos of the statement, attached a long post, and released the truth of the matter, including my current financial situation, physical condition, and my willingness to help with the child's future education. All at once online, some netizens began to side with me, and they voiced their support in the comment section. Everyone, calm down. Looking at this statement, it's true that no money was received, and she has her own difficulties. You can't just accuse someone based on a video. It's very kind of her to be willing to help with the child's education. Another group of netizens seized on my decision not to have children. If you don't have children yourself, what's wrong with adopting too? Being so heartless. Child-free people are just selfish. If you have the ability to help your children with their education, you have the ability to adopt. Don't make excuses. To respond to those who are still questioning me, and to document this special experience, I filmed every visit to the orphanage to see the children and provide material assistance, and then compiled it into text and images to post online to avoid their endless harassment and prevent them from coveting our house. My husband and I discussed it and decided to play along with their scheme. We found a relative my husband trusted and solemnly handed the house over to them. After completing the procedures, we began to intentionally and unintentionally spread bad news among our neighbors and even in circles where the children might be exposed. With a worried expression, I told everyone I met, my husband's business has run into serious trouble, and he owes a lot of debt. There's no other way but to sell the house to pay it off. We are now heavily in debt and living a very tight life. Even though our lives were in difficulty, I still publicly stated, although life is hard, I will still try my best to help those two children. After all, they are pitiable. I thought that by revealing our heavily indebted situation, these two children would back down. To my surprise, they were far more troublesome than I had imagined. Faced with the desperate situation my husband and I had created, they not only did not flinch in the slightest, but became even more determined to stay with us, vowing not to give up until they achieved their goal. The anxious voice of the orphanage staff came through the receiver. It's bad. The two children have run away. My heart sank. As soon as I went downstairs, I saw the two children sitting on the ground, crying their hearts out. As soon as she saw me, the girl cried even harder, sobbing and shouting, "Auntie Lynn, I don't want to go back to the orphanage. Please take pity on my brother and me. For the sake of my mother saving your life, please." Such a young child even made a move as if to hit her head against the wall, scaring me into rushing over to hold her. Hearing the commotion, the neighbors gathered around, pointing and whispering at us, "What's wrong with this child? Crying and making a scene at someone else's doorstep." Exactly, this girl has had a tough time. The adoption of children before caused quite a stir, and now this, with hands and feet. Can't this person afford to raise two children? The mother of those children is her savior, yet she shows no gratitude. In my helplessness, I could only let these two children stay for the night. Unexpectedly, the next day, the news media came to interview me. In less than half a day, I was trending on Weibo. The public enjoys seeing stories of truth, goodness, and beauty. No one cares whether I truly wanted to adopt these two children. No one is condemning the direct family members behind this child, they are all staring at me, praising me too. The skies, expecting me to repay their kindness with virtue. The old police officer comforted me. Things have developed to this point, and we can only take it one step at a time. Don't rush too much. After all, they are still children. I gritted my teeth, and could only brace myself to take on this heavy responsibility. The situation of the two children was special. The neighborhood committee, feeling pity for them and understanding that my husband and I are ordinary working class people nearby. Private primary schools offered them free tuition for the sake of publicity and positive energy. I don't need to pay for tuition anymore, but they are not as generous with pocket money as before. If I could, I truly wouldn't want to give these ungrateful brats a single cent to force us to comply. They began spreading rumors throughout the neighborhood, claiming we heartlessly abandoned them and were driving out the child of their savior. Suddenly, the neighbors looked at us with blame and suspicion. Some busybodies even embellished the story online, attempting to stir up a new wave of public opinion. Unable to bear the disturbance any longer, my husband and I gritted our teeth and rented a dilapidated, cramped apartment. The room was dim and damp, with large patches of plaster peeling off the walls, emitting an old, musty odor. We set up a bunk bed for the two children. The bed boards were hard, and there wasn't even a decent mattress. From then on, my husband and I completely changed our attitude towards them. Previously, we would worry about their studies, help with homework, and check their assignments. Now, we no longer wanted to waste any energy on it. Regardless of their academic performance at school, whether they improved or regressed, we turned a blind eye. They are ungrateful wretches anyway, so any effort is in vain. We are only responsible for their basic food and drink, preparing simple meals every day, and no longer meticulously balancing nutrition as before. We also buy the cheapest clothes and no longer pay attention to their disdainful looks. We completely ignore their crying, accusations, and all sorts of unreasonable demands. My actions triggered a chain reaction. An informed person online claimed that I abuse children in private and don't give them any pocket money. The onlookers kept pointing fingers at me. I made a long PPT about the monthly expenses for the children's food, drink, and daily necessities. Raising a child is not that easy. Netizens praised me one after another after seeing it. This month's nutrition fee is more than my child's, which is already very good. Su Wenwen couldn't get any benefits from her husband and children, so she finally got anxious. I observed her disguise herself several times and sneakily follow two children into a dilapidated alley. I pretended to know nothing. The child's phone watch has a locator and recording device. These are all evidence that could ruin her reputation in the future. A semester has passed, and Su Wenwen is probably restless. The online traffic from our family adopting two children has also earned a lot of money on social media. According to my private investigator's report, Su Wenwen herself is not doing very well. She can endure a life on the run, but I overlooked one thing. Su Wenwen has been unable to gain any advantage, and a cornered dog will jump over the wall late at night. A little girl, disheveled and with messy hair, stood at the door crying, followed by shocked and angry neighbors. Before I could react, the little girl pointed at my husband and cried with tears streaming down her face. He bullied me. He's not human. The neighbors, upon hearing this, were immediately in an uproar, casting looks of condemnation. My husband's face instantly turned pale with shock at the sudden slander, his lips trembling, unable to speak for a long time. My heart was burning with anxiety, and I rushed forward, trying to defend my husband. Don't listen to her nonsense. This is absolutely slander. But the little girl cried even louder. Although the child's words were full of loopholes, they still managed to sway many people. The neighbors started talking amongst themselves. Some began to accuse us, saying that we were kind on the surface but did such things behind our backs. As expected, my husband was taken away by the police. Just like in the previous life, the netizens, without any verification, launched a frenzied personal attack on us as a couple. This man looks decent, but he actually did something like this to a little girl. He's a complete pervert. Neither of this couple is good. They neglected the child before, and who knows what bad things they've done now. This woman is truly venomous. She might have adopted the child just to please her man. I calmly retrieved the surveillance footage and meticulously reviewed every second of the little girl's time at my house. As expected, the video clearly recorded that all of the little girl's extreme behaviors were staged by herself. Without hesitation, I posted this surveillance video online, and the truth was instantly revealed. Public opinion took a sharp turn. This little girl is terrifying. How could she do such a thing? Fortunately, there was surveillance footage. Otherwise this couple would have been wrongly accused to death. No way. Kids these days are so precocious. Don't say children are kind and innocent anymore. Think about what you were like when you were young. It's hard to imagine if this matter were really misunderstood, that man would be unable to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Due to the young age of the two children, the police ultimately only gave them a lecture on proper conduct and had them write self-criticisms. The matter was then left unresolved. The two children could not stay any longer either. To avoid complications down the road, Su Wenwen felt the opportunity had arrived. She rushed to the scene, crying her heart out, collapsing to the ground, and wailing loudly, "Lin Yin, you bastard, I entrusted my child to you, and this is how you treat her. Do you have no conscience at all?" Su Wenwen even brought in the media, tearfully recounting her tragic ordeal in front of the cameras, fabricating various details, claiming that my husband had long subjected the child to abuse and that we had completely neglected her. I stared at her coldly, finally deigning to show up under my piercing gaze. She flinched for a moment, but she quickly started making a scene and causing trouble. The police were also shocked. How could a dead person suddenly appear? Su Wenwen explained that she suffered from depression and that it was only human to contemplate suicide when feeling hopeless. The police officer looked utterly speechless, yet there was nothing he could do about Su Wenwen. The surveillance video and recording equipment I provided are complete. Su Wenwen could only leave the police station. Grinding her teeth in frustration, she looked at me with disbelief. "Lin Yin, why did you install surveillance at home? Did you know about this all along?" Her face gradually turned panicked. I smiled ambiguously. "Isn't it normal to install surveillance at home for the safety of your husband and child?" Through this incident, my social media followers increased by another level. How could Su Wenwen be willing to let her long-planned scheme end in failure like this? She began posting lengthy posts on social media platforms, inciting netizens' emotions. In no time, a torrent of abuse flooded in, and some even organized offline protests, demanding severe punishment for my husband, pushing our family into a desperate situation. However, the evidence was conclusive. My husband had not done anything heinous. She only received a barrage of insults. Some accused her of giving birth but not raising the child, saying she was unworthy of being a mother. Terrifying. Could this woman have faked her death on purpose? What depression? I've never seen someone with depression so full of life. Hurling insults online. Let's disperse. This woman's intentions are too obvious. She just wants to stage an accident to extort money. I immediately reported Su Wenwen's malicious rumor-mongering and defamation in private, and the police swiftly launched an investigation. As the investigation deepened, Su Wenwen's various misdeeds gradually came to light. The lies she had meticulously crafted crumbled instantly in the face of irrefutable evidence. Her despicable attempt to frame us for personal gain was laid bare for all to see. The police uncovered a substantial amount of evidence at Su Wenwen's residence, including records of her collusion with certain unscrupulous media outlets and the carefully prepared scripts she used to fabricate lies at the funeral home. Su Wenwen was responsible for forging documents such as pre-death illness certificates and suicide notes to make the fake deaths appear more credible. The funeral home owner exploited his position to issue fraudulent cremation certificates without proper death verification or family consent, thereby helping these individuals successfully defraud insurance companies. After the scheme succeeded, they would split the insurance payout with the fraudsters. They forged cremation certificates, deceived the families of the deceased, and profited immensely from the scheme. This matter constitutes a serious violation of funeral regulations and ethical standards, amounting to the crime of insurance fraud. At the moment Su Wenwen was taken away by the police, her eyes were filled with fear and despair. The two children were also sent to a welfare institution by the local government. This matter has finally come to an end. A year later, my husband and I also welcomed a new life. In the future, I will definitely tell my child to be cautious in making friends and never let a savior complex run wild. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video. Story 2. The intellectually disabled school belle deliberately spilled milk all over herself while drinking it, then cried and said her clothes were dirty. Just as I was about to hand her a tissue, my childhood friend rushed over and, in front of the whole class, slapped me hard twice. Song Yanran, didn't I tell you to take care of her? How could you be so useless? You can't even keep an eye on a carton of milk. And now Sue rants. Clothes are ruined. A burning pain spread from my cheeks deep into my heart. All 43 pairs of eyes in the class were watching me, the laughingstock. In that moment, I finally understood. In his heart, I wasn't even as good as the school belle's piece of clothing. From that day on, I never called him Big Brother again. Later, he was driven mad by regret. Lin Yifan's words left me frozen in place, almost forgetting to breathe. Since when did taking care of Su Ran become my responsibility? It Was just a break between classes. Su-ran wanted to drink some milk, and I only kindly reminded her to be careful not to spill it, but she just had to accidentally spill it all over herself, then tearfully complained that her clothes were dirty. I had just reached for a tissue to help when Lin Yifan rushed over in front of all 43 classmates. He slapped me hard twice, left cheek, right cheek. The crisp sound echoed through the classroom. Everyone was stunned, even the boys who usually loved to cause a ruckus fell silent, clutching my burning cheeks. Tears welled up uncontrollably, not because of the pain, but because of the humiliation. Song Anran, didn't I tell you to take good care of her? When did he ever ask me to take care of Su-ran? I racked my brains but couldn't recall any such thing. From the very first day Su-ran transferred to our school, Lin Yifan had been especially attentive to her, but he never explicitly asked me to look after her. How can you be so useless? You can't even keep an eye on a carton of milk. How was I supposed to watch over the milk? I'm not her babysitter, and you let Su-ran get her clothes dirty too. She dirted it herself, so why should I be blamed? But I just couldn't bring myself to say any of this. Dazed from the hit, I could only stand there blankly, letting my tears fall. Su-ran sobbed softly beside him. Yifan, don't blame Sister Anran. It was my own clumsiness. Don't make excuses for her. It's clear she didn't take good care of you. Lin Yifan gently pulled Su-ran into his arms and wiped away her tears. Then he gave me a cold look. What are you standing there for? Go buy a new outfit for Su-ran to change into. I nodded mechanically and started to head out. My feet felt as heavy as lead. Wait, Lin Yifan called out to me again. Be more mindful next time. Su-ran's health is fragile. As a girl, you should care more about her. Got it, I replied softly. My voice was choked with emotion. As I reached the door, I heard Su-ran say to Lin Yifan, do you think Sister Anran will be upset? She wouldn't dare. Has she ever dared to be angry with me since we were kids? Lin Yifan's words pierced my heart like a knife. That's right. From childhood to now, I've never really gotten angry with him. No matter what he does, I always obediently do as I'm told. If he tells me to go east, I never go west. If he asks me to buy breakfast, I never say no. If he has a secret, I'm the first to know. If he bombs an exam, I take the scolding alongside him in everyone's eyes. I'm Lin Yifan's shadow, the Song Anran who never rebels, but today, he hit me for Su-ran in front of the whole class. He humiliated me cruelly too. I hid in the bathroom and looked at my face in the mirror. There were clear fingerprints on my left cheek, and my right cheek was swollen too. It stung fiercely, much lighter than the pain in my heart. Tears kept falling uncontrollably. 16 years have passed. We've been neighbors since we were 3 years old, growing up together. He is 3 months older than me, and I've always called him Big Brother. When someone bullied me as a child, he would stand up to protect me. If I fell down, he would carry me home on his back. When I was sick, he would buy me medicine. Everyone said we were a perfect match made in heaven. Even I myself thought that we would go on like this forever until Su-ran appeared. She's only been here for 3 months since transferring, but Lin Yifan's kindness to her has already surpassed the feelings he's had for me for over a decade, and today, he even humiliated me in public for her sake. I remembered those looks in the classroom just now. Some sympathetic, some gloating, some puzzled, but most of them were just there for the spectacle. Song Anran, who had been doted on by Lin Yifan since childhood, was actually hit, and it was over another girl. How humiliating. I wiped away my tears, took a few deep breaths, and calmed myself down. I can't cry anymore. I've already embarrassed myself enough. I can't let them see me in an even more pathetic state. After composing myself, I walked out of the restroom and went to buy clothes for Su-ran at the clothing store near the school gate. I picked out a white shirt similar to the one she was wearing today. The price wasn't cheap. It cost me a week's worth of living expenses, but I didn't hesitate, not because Lin Yifan asked me to, but because, forget it, let's just treat this as one last favor. When I returned to the classroom, Lin Yifan was comforting Su-ran. Seeing me, Su-ran immediately stood up and said, Sister Anran, sorry for the trouble. I handed her the clothes. Go get changed. My voice was a little hoarse. Su-ran took the clothes and cautiously glanced at Lin Yifan. Yifan, maybe we should apologize to Sister Anran. Her face is still swollen. Apologize for what? She didn't take good care of you, so I taught her a lesson. Without even looking up, Lin Yifan said, go change your clothes. Don't catch a cold. Su-ran nodded and said to me before leaving, thank you, Sister Anran. Then she bounced away cheerfully. There was no sign that she had been crying just moments ago. I stared blankly at her retreating figure, and suddenly realized something. Just now when she spilled the milk, it seemed deliberate. That angle, that movement, it couldn't have been an accident. But why would she deliberately spill it on herself, and then let Lin Yifan hit me for her sake? Thinking of this, I felt a chill run through my body. If it really was intentional, then the two Slaps I received today were orchestrated by her, and Lin Yifan played along so seamlessly, as if they had discussed it long ago. No, impossible. I shook my head, telling myself not to overthink, but the doubt in my heart just wouldn't go away. 3. Su Ran changed her clothes and came back, dressed in white. She looked even more delicately pitiful. Her deskmate leaned in and asked with concern, Su Ran, are you okay? Does the outfit fit? That's perfect, thank you, Sister Anran. Su Ran smiled sweetly. Then she looked at me and said, Sister Anran, does your face still hurt? Do you want me to go with you to the school clinic? The whole class's eyes were on us. I felt like a specimen under a microscope. No need, I replied coldly. Su Ran was taken aback, as if she hadn't expected me to refuse. Then, how about I get you some medicine to reduce the swelling? I said no need. My tone turned even colder than before. Even Lin Yifan noticed something was off. He frowned at me and said, Song Anran, Su Ran is just trying to care about you. What's with your attitude? What's with my attitude? I looked at him and suddenly felt like I didn't know him anymore. This person who grew up with me. When did he become like this? Can't you see what my attitude is? You. Lin Yifan clearly hadn't expected me to talk back. What? Can't even talk normally now. I stood up and looked down at him. Or do I have to smile at everyone to meet your expectations? The classroom was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone was staring at us in shock. Song Anran was actually arguing with Lin Yifan. This was simply unheard of. Song Anran, what's gotten into you today? Lin Yifan's tone was somewhat irritated. Su Ran was genuinely concerned about you. But not only did you not appreciate it, you gave her that attitude. She cares about me. I let out a cold laugh. Lin Yifan, do you take me for a fool? What do you mean? You know exactly what I mean. I packed my school bag and got ready to leave. I won't forget what happened today. With that, I walked away without looking back. Lin Yifan's furious voice came from behind. Song Anran, you come back here. But I didn't stop, nor did I obediently turn back when he called. As I used to this time, I walked away with no turning back, for I didn't go to the afternoon classes. I sat alone in the small garden behind the school, staring blankly at the sky. The swelling on my face had gone down a bit, but it was still noticeable. Anran, a familiar voice sounded behind me. I didn't turn around. Nor did I call him brother sweetly as I used to. Lin Yifan walked over and sat down in front of me. Here you are. I've been looking all over for you. Is something wrong? My tone was calm, without a ripple of emotion. Are you still angry? No, then why won't you talk to me? I finally looked up at him. When did I not talk to you? Back in the classroom just now. What happened just now? Didn't I speak to you? Lin Yifan was left speechless by my retort. It was true. I did speak to him. It's just that my attitude wasn't the same as before. And Ran, I know what happened today might have upset you. Not happy, I interrupted him. Lin Yifan, do you really think getting slapped in public is as simple as just not being happy? I was just angry too. And Su Ran's health has never been good. What does that have to do with me? What? I said. What does her poor health have to do with me? I looked him in the eye. Since when did I become her nanny? Since when did you ask me to take care of her? Lin Yifan opened his mouth, but no words came out because he never actually said anything like that. It's just, he thought I would take the initiative to take care of Su Ran, just like how I always used to take the initiative to take care of him. And Ran, you've been kind since you were little. I thought, you thought I should help everyone unconditionally. No, I mean, what do you mean? My tone grew colder. Are you saying I should be taken advantage of? Are you saying I should be hit by you? You didn't what? Didn't hit me. I pointed at my own face. Then what's this? Lin Yifan looked at the red mark on my face, his expression somewhat complicated. I'm sorry, I was too impulsive at the time. Impulsive? I stood up and looked down at him from above. Lin Yifan, I've known you for 16 years, and I've never seen you be impulsive for my sake, but when it comes to Su Ran, you sure act on impulse. With that, I turned to leave and ran. Lin Yifan caught up and grabbed my hand. Let me explain. I pulled my hand away. There's nothing to explain. There is. Lin Yifan. I interrupted him and looked him straight in the eye. From today onwards, let's keep things clear between us. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. I adjusted my backpack. From now on, don't come to me with your problems, and I won't bother you with mine. Song Anran, have you lost your mind? Lin Yifan had clearly not expected me to say something like that. We've grown up together since we were kids, so what? You can't do this. What did I do? I sneered. I just want a little basic dignity. Is that too much to ask? I never disrespected you. Slapping me in public isn't disrespect. Forget it. No need to explain. I waved my hand. Anyway, in your heart, I'm just someone who doesn't matter. You hit me. So what? Worst case, you apologize. That's not how it is. Then how is it? Watching his flustered expression, a wave of sadness swept over me. So this was how little I truly mattered to him. So little that he could humiliate me as he pleased. knowing I wouldn't really get angry so little that he could hurt me as he pleased, knowing I wouldn't really leave but he was wrong this time. I really am angry. 5 Over the next few days, I deliberately avoided Lin Yifan. I arrived at school early in the morning and left late in the evening. At noon, instead of eating in the classroom, I went to the library. Lin Yifan came looking for me a few times, but I ignored him. It wasn't out of spite or to play hard to get. I genuinely didn't want anything more to do with him. Anren, did you and Yifan have a fight? My desk mate Xiaoyu leaned in and whispered gossipingly. You two grew up together, so how come things suddenly got so tense between you? We didn't fight. I kept doing my homework without looking up. Then why aren't you two talking anymore? There's nothing to say. But Xiaoyu, I looked up at her. Some things aren't the way you imagine them. Xiaoyu was taken aback for a moment and wisely didn't ask further, but I knew that rumors had already started spreading in the class, saying that Lin Yifan and I broke up, saying that Su Ran stole my boyfriend, saying that I'm jealous of Su Ran, so I'm giving him the cold shoulder on purpose. When these words reached my ears, I just smiled. Let them say whatever they want. After all, no one really cares about the truth. Everyone just wants to watch the drama. Anren Jia. Just as I was thinking about it, Su Ran suddenly appeared in front of me. Is something the matter? I asked coldly. I want to apologize to you. Su Ran lowered her head, looking wronged about what happened that day. It was all my fault. I accidentally spilled the milk, which caused Yifan to scold you. Scold? I let out a cold laugh. You call getting slapped in public a scolding? Su Ran's body trembled. I didn't mean it like that. What are you trying to say? I put down my pen and looked at her seriously. Su Ran, do you genuinely think you're not at fault, or are you putting on an act? What? I said. Are you really clueless, or just pretending to be? Su Ran's expression shifted. Anren, I don't understand what you mean. You don't understand. I stood up and walked over to her. Let me ask you then, why did you deliberately spill the milk that day? I didn't do it on purpose. Really? I leaned closer to her and lowered my voice. Su Ran, do you think I can't tell? The way you spilled the milk, the timing of your tears, the things you said, all of it was calculated. Su Ran's face turned even paler. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. I looked at her coldly. You just wanted to see me get hit by Lin Yifan, wanted to see me humiliated in front of the whole class. That's not true, isn't it? I sneered. Then explain why Lin Yifan showed up so conveniently. Why did he come straight at me without even asking a single question? Su Ran opened her mouth, but no words came out, because she knew that everything I said was true. Let me tell you something, Su Ran. I said each word deliberately. I've seen through your tricks, and I've seen Lin Yifan's true colors. From now on, I won't be fooled again. Anren, please don't call me that. We're not close. I packed my things and prepared to leave. Besides, since you want Lin Yifan so badly, just take him. It's not like he's anything special anyway. With that, I left without looking back. Behind me came the sound of Su Ran sobbing. 06. I thought that was the end of it, but the next day, Lin Yifan stormed over to my place. Song. Anren, what did you say to Su Ran yesterday? His face looked terrible. He was clearly very angry. What business is it of yours? I continued reading my book without looking up. She cried all night, saying you misunderstood her. Misunderstood? I gave a cold laugh. Then what do you think I misunderstood about her? How can you suspect she did it on purpose? That's exactly what I think. Is there a problem? Of course there is a problem. Lin Yifan grew more agitated as he spoke. Su Ran is such a kind person. How could she possibly have deliberately harmed you? Thinking of her like that is vicious of you. Vicious? He called me vicious. I slowly raised my head and looked at this person who had grown up with me since childhood, 16 years of closeness, and in his words, I had somehow become vicious. Lin Yifan. I stood up and looked at him calmly. Say that again. Who is vicious? Perhaps my gaze was too cold. Lin Yifan was taken aback for a moment. What I mean is, it's wrong for you to think of Su Ran like that. Wrong? Yes, she's so innocent and kind. Slap. Without hesitation, I slapped him across the face. The crisp sound echoed through the classroom. Everyone was stunned. Lin Yifan covered his face, looking at me in disbelief. Song Anren, you hit me. Yes, I hit you. Watching his shocked expression, I felt a surge of satisfaction. What? You're allowed to hit me, but I'm not allowed to hit you. Are you crazy? No, I'm perfectly clear-headed. I smoothed my clothes. Lin Yifan, from today on, if you dare say one good word about Su Ran in front of me again, I'll hit you once. You try me. I looked at him coldly. I promise I'll do what I say. Lin Yifan was stunned by my demeanor. He had never seen me like this before. Not since we were kids. Cold, resolute, and relentless. Anren, what's gotten into you? What's gotten into me? I laughed, a bitter and sarcastic laugh. I've finally come to my senses. Come to your senses about what? I've seen your true colors clearly. Word by word, I said. Lin Yifan, you are not a good person. You are selfish, biased, and hypocritical. I'm hypocritical, yes, hypocritical. Looking at his angry expression, I said, you clearly favor Sue Ran, but you dare not admit it. You clearly want to abandon me, yet you still pretend to care about me. You're wrong. What's wrong about it? I never wanted to abandon you, really, I sneered. Then explain why you've spent more time talking to Sue Ran in the past 3 months than you have with me. That's because of what? Because she needs looking after. Because she's not feeling well, I interrupted him. Lin Yifan, do you even believe those excuses yourself? Lin Yifan opened his mouth, but no words came out because he knew that everything I said was the truth. And another thing, I continued, why have you never asked if I needed care? Why have you never shown any concern for my health? You've always been healthy, so people who are healthy don't need care. That's not it. Then what is it? I pressed further. Is it because I've been so obedient that you think I'll never leave? I never thought that, didn't you? Watching his flustered expression, I felt a deep sadness in my heart. Lin Yifan, you know perfectly well, in your eyes, I'm just a dispensable backup. That's not true. Yes, it is, I interrupted him, but you miscalculated one thing. What thing? It's not like I can't live without you. After saying that, I packed my bag and headed out. Song Anran. Lin Yifan stopped me and asked, where are you going? None of your business. We're not done talking. Yes, we are. Without looking back, I said, from now on, we have nothing to do with each other. 7. After that day, I completely cut off ties with Lin Yifan. I no longer sat next to him, spoke to him, or even looked at him. Our classmates thought we had really fallen out this time, but I knew it wasn't a falling out. It was a relief. Without Lin Yifan's interference, my life actually became much easier. I used to always have to consider his feelings, accommodate his schedule, and coordinate with his arrangements. Now I don't have to. I can focus on my studies, interact normally with my classmates, and do the things I want to do. Anran, you've been looking much better lately, Xiaoyu said with emotion. I don't know why things ended up like this between you and Yifan, but I feel like you have more energy now. Really? I looked at myself in the mirror. It was true. My complexion was noticeably rosier than before, and my eyes looked brighter. Maybe it was because my sleep quality had improved. I used to overthink everything, worrying whether Lin Yifan might be upset or have a problem with me. Now that I don't have to think about those things anymore, I naturally sleep more peacefully. And Ran, someone's looking for you. The class monitor walked over and pointed toward the door. I looked up and saw Jiangqing from the next class. He was tall and slender, wearing glasses, and looked quite gentle. Jiangqing, what does he want with me? I was a little puzzled. No idea. Go take a look. I walked to the door. Is there something you need? Jiangqing seemed a bit nervous. I'd like to ask you for a favor. What kind of help? I want to learn math. You're so good at it. Could you teach me? I was stunned for a moment. Jiangqing's academic performance was actually pretty good, and his math wasn't bad either. Why would he suddenly want me to teach him? Isn't your math already pretty good? Not good enough. Jiangqing pushed up his glasses. I want to get into a better university, so I need to improve my math a bit more. Then why don't you ask a teacher for help? The teacher is too busy. And, he paused, I feel that you explain things in a way that's easier to understand. I thought it over. I didn't have much going on lately anyway. Alright, but I can't guarantee I'll be a good teacher. That's okay. Thank you. Jiangqing smiled. He had a very nice smile. So when should we start? Tomorrow afternoon, after school. Okay. Watching Jiangqing's retreating figure, I suddenly felt a strange sensation. It was as if teaching him math wasn't his real intention, but what exactly that intention was, I couldn't figure out for the time being. Oh well, I'll find out when the time comes. 8. The next afternoon, I waited for Jiangqing at the library on time. He arrived soon after, carrying a pile of math materials. Sorry to keep you waiting. No problem, I just got here too. We found a quiet spot to sit down, and Jiangqing took out his notebook of mistakes. I never seemed to understand these problems. Could you help me take a look? I took the notebook from him and studied it carefully. The problems were indeed quite difficult, but not entirely impossible to solve. The key to this problem is understanding how to apply this formula. As I explained, I wrote down the detailed steps on paper. Jiangqing listened very attentively, nodding from time to time and occasionally asking questions. Before I knew it, 2 hours had passed. That's about it for today. Let's call it a night. I stretched. Okay, thank you. Jiangqing packed up his materials. Can I trouble you again tomorrow? Sure. I didn't have anything else to do anyway, and Jiangqing was a nice guy. It was comfortable being with him, not like Lin Yifan, who always made me nervous and left me worrying about gains and losses. By the way, Jiangqing suddenly said, you and Lin Yifan, did you really break up? I was taken aback. We were never a couple to begin with, really, but everyone thought what others think is their business. The fact is, we're not. I packed my things and said, and now we're not even friends anymore. Why? Jiangqing asked curiously. You two grew up together. How did things get so tense? I hesitated, but in the end, I told him he hit me over another girl. What? Jiangqing was shocked. He hit you, I pointed to my face, right here, in front of the whole class. Jiangqing's expression darkened. How could he do that? That's why I don't want anything to do with him anymore. You did the right thing. Jiangqing looked at me seriously. No one has the right to hit you, no matter the reason. A warmth spread through my heart. This was the first person who had clearly supported me. Everyone else either tried to persuade me to forgive Lin Yifan or said it wasn't good for us to keep fighting like this. Only Jiangqing directly said I did the right thing. Thank you, I said sincerely. You're welcome. Jiangqing smiled. I was just telling the truth. On my way home that day, I was in an especially good mood, not because Jiangqing had complimented me, but because finally, someone understood me. 09 Over the next few days, Jiangqing and I continued with the tutoring sessions. Gradually, I realized that he actually had a solid foundation in math. He could draw inferences from one example to many others. Jiangqing, you don't really need me to teach you. I couldn't help saying one day. Your math is already very good. Jiangqing was taken aback, and his face turned slightly red. You caught me. So asking me for tutoring was fake? Yeah, he scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Actually, I was just looking for a chance to spend more time with you. My heart skipped a beat. Why? Because, Jiangqing took a deep breath. I like you. What? I stared at him, my eyes wide open. Jiangqing likes me. What did you say? I said I like you, Jiangqing repeated seriously. I've liked you since the first year of high school, but, I stammered a little. Everyone thinks Lin Yifan. And I know what others think, but I've observed you too, Jiangqing said. Your feelings for him are more like dependence, and as for him, he doesn't have any romantic feelings for you at all. How do you know? If he truly liked you, how could he hit you for another girl? Jiangqing's words struck my heart like a hammer. Yeah, if Lin Yifan really liked me, how could he have treated me like that? And ran. Jiangqing stepped closer. Give me a chance. Okay, I will take good care of you. I looked into his sincere eyes, my feelings a mix of emotions. It would be a lie to say I wasn't tempted. Jiangqing was a good person. He did well in school and had a gentle temperament. Most importantly, he genuinely likes me and respects me, but I need some time to think. Okay, I'll wait for you. Jiangqing smiled. No matter how long it takes, I'll wait. After returning home that day, I lay on my bed and thought for a long time about Lin Yifan, about Jiangqing, about myself. I realized that after cutting ties with Lin Yifan, I wasn't as sad as I had imagined. Instead, I felt a sense of relief. Maybe Jiangqing was right. What I feel for Lin Yifan is more about habit and dependence than love. If that's the case, why not try accepting someone who truly treats me well? Having figured this out, I picked up my phone and sent Jiangqing a message. I'm willing to give it a try soon. Jiangqing replied, really? That's great. Seeing his excited message, I couldn't help but smile. Maybe this is my new beginning. 10 With Jiangqing by my side, my life has become more fulfilling. He would buy me milk tea when I was tired, patiently discuss solutions when I faced difficulties, and make me laugh when I was down. Most importantly, he never made me feel wronged. Enran, you seem really happy lately, Xiaoyu said. Do I? Yes, you're smiling so much more than before. She leaned in gossipily. Is something good going on? You could say that. I didn't deny it. It really is good news. Jiangqing officially confessed to me yesterday, and I agreed to be his girlfriend. We haven't gone public yet, but we're both very happy. What good news? Tell me quickly. Xiaoyu pressed. I was just about to answer when a familiar figure appeared at the classroom door. Lin Yifan. He stood in the doorway, his face dark and his eyes fixed intensely on me. The classroom suddenly fell silent, and everyone felt the tension in the air. Song Anran, come out for a moment. Lin Yifan's voice was very cold. I frowned, but still stood up and walked out. Is something wrong? Are you together with Jiangqing? He asked bluntly. That's none of your business. How is it none of my business? Lin Yifan became agitated. Have you forgotten that we grew up together? So what? You can't be with anyone else. Why not? I looked at him coldly. Lin Yifan, what right do you have to control me? You what? I interrupted him. You have Su Ran by your side. What's wrong with me finding a boyfriend? Jiangqing isn't good enough for you. It's not up to you to decide whether I'm worthy or not. I turned to leave, but he grabbed my arm. Song Anran, you can't do this to me. How have I treated you? I shook off his hand and said, you're the one who didn't want me first. Now that I have a new life, you're unhappy about it. When did I ever say I didn't want you? You didn't say it, but you did it. I looked at his pained expression, feeling nothing at all inside. Lin Yifan, people must take responsibility for their choices. You chose Su Ran, and I chose Jiangqing. That's only fair. It's not fair. He yelled. I never chose Su Ran, really, I sneered. Then why did you hit me for her sake? Lin Yifan opened his mouth but no words came out because he knew this was a fact beyond explanation. Nothing to say. I straightened my clothes. Then don't come bothering me again. I'm fine now and don't need your concern. With that, I walked away without looking back. From behind me came Lin Yifan's voice. Song and Ran, I won't give up, but I didn't look back and I wouldn't look back again. 11 When Lin Yifan said he wouldn't give up, I thought it was just a rash remark. I didn't expect that in the following days, he would start harassing me like crazy, sliding me little notes in class, blocking the door to wait for me between classes, and following me home after school. He even bought me a bunch of things I used to like and ran. Here's your favorite strawberry cake. Here's the book you've always wanted. And this is Lin Yifan. I interrupted him. Are you done or not? I just want to be good to you. Being good to me, I sneered. Now you remember to be good to me. Where were you all that time? I admit I was wrong before. Wrong. I looked at his haggard face. Do you know what you did wrong? I shouldn't have hit you for Su Ran, and I shouldn't have ignored your feelings, and Lin Yifan thought for a long time but couldn't find the words. You have no idea where you went wrong. I shook my head in disappointment. Lin Yifan, do you really think an apology can solve everything? Then what do you want me to do? I don't want you to do anything. I looked at him seriously. I just want you to stay away from me. No way, Lin Yifan said emotionally. Anran, we've grown up together since we were kids. You can't just abandon me like this. Abandon? I was so angered by his words that I laughed. Who abandoned whom? You rejected me first. You chose Su Ran. I did not. You did. Word by word, I said. From the moment you hit me for her sake, I just acted on impulse. I looked at him coldly. Lin Yifan, you can act on impulse for Su Ran, but can't you do the same for me? And do you think a simple moment of impulse can erase the hurt you've caused me? Lin Yifan fell silent because he knew it couldn't. Anran, enough. I interrupted him. Lin Yifan, we're done. Completely done. No, we're not done. He suddenly grabbed my hand and ran. I can't live without you. But I can live without you. I coldly shook him off. And you're already gone from my life. With that, I walked away without looking back. From behind came Lin Yifan's voice, choked with tears, and Ran, I was wrong. I was so wrong. But I didn't stop. Some mistakes, once made, cannot be unmade. An apology alone won't make this right. 12 Lin Yifan keeps harassing me, but I'm completely unmoved now. When Jiangqing found out about this, he offered to help me deal with it. How about I go talk to him? No need. I shook my head. He'll give up sooner or later, but this can't go on forever. It'll keep bothering you. It's fine, I can handle it. I took Jiangqing's hand and said, thank you for caring about me. Jiangqing smiled gently. Silly, you're my girlfriend. If I don't care about you, who would? His words warmed my heart. What does it mean to be a boyfriend? This is it. Not like Lin Yifan, who only muttered a few half-hearted apologies after I got hurt. A real boyfriend steps up to protect me when I'm in trouble. Jiangqing, I'm so glad I met you. Me too. He kissed my forehead and ran. I will always be good to you. I know. Just then, a furious shout came from behind. Song and Ran. I turned around and saw Lin Yifan staring at us, his face full of anger. What are you doing? What's it to you? I didn't let go of Jiangqing's hand. Lin Yifan, this is my personal business. Personal business. Lin Yifan rushed over and shoved Jiangqing aside. She's mine. Lin Yifan, I was furious. What gives you the right to push him? He stole my woman. Your woman. I was shaking with anger. When was I ever your woman? You've been mine since we were kids, Lin Yifan said with reddened eyes. You can't be with anyone else. Why can't I? Because he couldn't come up with a reason at that moment. Jiangqing stood up. Though he had been pushed to the ground, he wasn't angry. Lin Yifan, calm down. Shut up. Lin Yifan pointed at Jiangqing and said, you took my Anran from me. No one took anyone. Jiangqing replied calmly. Anran chose me of her own accord. Impossible. Why is it impossible? Jiangqing looked at Lin Yifan. Because you never truly cherished her. You're lying. Am I lying? Jiangqing stared coldly at him. If you really cherished her, how could you have hit her for another woman? Lin Yifan was stumped. If you truly cared about her, how could you make her this sad? If you truly loved her, how could it have taken you until now to realize how important she is? Every word from Jiangqing pierced Lin Yifan's heart like a knife. He clutched his chest and crouched down in pain. I was wrong. I was wrong. He began to cry, like a child. Anran, I truly was wrong. Can you forgive me? Just this once. Seeing him like this, I felt nothing at all. Tears, apologies, pain, all of it came too late. The moment he chose to hurt me for Su Ran, it was already over between us. Lin Yifan, I called his name for the last time. Take good care of yourself, and take good care of Su Ran. Goodbye. After saying that, I took Jiangqing's hand and left without looking back. From behind me, came Lin Yifun's heart-wrenching sobs, but that no longer had anything to do with me. 13. After the final exams, my relationship with Jianqing became public. My classmates were all surprised that I had moved on from Lin Yifun's shadow so quickly. Even more unexpected was that I chose Jianqing and ran. Are you really together with Jianqing? Xiaoyu asked gossipily. Yes, I admitted openly. What about Lin Yifun? I heard he's not doing well lately. That's his business, none of mine. Indeed, none of my business. I heard Lin Yifun has been skipping classes often lately, and his grades have dropped a lot. Even Su Ran has started to distance herself from him, but these are no longer things I need to worry about right now. I just want to enjoy my time dating Jianqing. And Ran, where would you like to go for summer vacation? Jianqing asked me. Either way is fine, you decide. How about we go to the seaside? I know a really beautiful place. Sure, being with Jianqing was this easy, no need to guess what he was thinking. No need to worry, he might be upset. He always considered my feelings and asked for my opinion. This feeling of being cherished like a treasure was truly wonderful. And Ran, suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind. I turned around and saw Lin Yifun, looking utterly haggard. He had lost a lot of weight, with dark circles under his eyes, and looked terrible. Is there something you need? I asked coldly. I was hoping we could talk alone. There's nothing to talk about. Please, just this once. His voice cracked with tears, and he genuinely seemed to be in pain. Jianqing squeezed my hand and said, go ahead, I'll wait here for you. I hesitated for a moment, but eventually nodded. All right, just this last time. We walked to a quiet corner, and Lin Yifun spoke and Ran. I know I've wronged you. Good that you know. I also know you won't forgive me. Good that you know. But I truly can't let you go. He started crying. Without you, I am nothing. Seeing him like this, I felt no sympathy at all, only annoyance. Lin Yifun, do you really think this makes you look touching? Let me tell you, it's not touching at all. I looked at him coldly. It only makes me feel disgusted. Why? I sneered. Because your tears are too cheap. Back when you hit me for Su Ran, why didn't you cry? Back when you ignored my feelings, why didn't you cry? Now that I have a new life, you start crying. Lin Yifun, your tears mean nothing to me. He was struck speechless by my words. And another thing, I continued, you said you're nothing without me. Isn't that the opposite of the truth? I'm better off without you. I'm happier without you. Only without you did I come to know what true love really is. So, don't bother me again. I looked at his devastated expression and felt no guilt at all. Take good care of yourself. Find someone who's truly right for you. If Su Ran isn't the one, then there will be someone else. In short, that person wasn't me. With that, I turned and left and ran. Lin Yifun called out from behind me. I can wait for you. I stopped in my tracks but didn't look back. No need to wait. It will never happen in this lifetime. That's the end of the first story. I hope you enjoyed it. The next stories will be even more exciting. Let's continue reading together. I'm telling you, she's definitely not a virgin anymore. The moment I stepped into the hallway, those words exploded in my ears. A group of guys were huddled together, grinning like they just hit the gossip jackpot. For real, I saw her walking out of the male teacher's office myself, her clothes all messed up like that. Damn, just thinking about it is wild. Don't talk crap like that. What if she hears you? Even better if she hears. Maybe she'd be too embarrassed to explain herself. Laughter and whistles all hit me right in the face. Someone turned around, saw me, and their grin froze mid-laugh. Holy shit, she's right here. The hallway went dead silent. Chen Bo's throat moved as he tried to save face. What are you looking at? What I said wasn't wrong. I walked up to him, my voice perfectly calm. Yes, he slept with me. The boys' laughter got stuck in their throats. No one dared to breathe. I took out my phone and dialed in front of everyone. Hello, is this 110-01? I really saw it yesterday. Lin Xia came out of the male PE teacher's office, face bright red, her school uniform buttons undone. On the second floor corridor, the usual noise between classes seemed to hit a mute button. All eyes snapped toward me. I stood at the door, still holding the test paper I had just finished, feeling as if a brick had been slammed into my chest. I heard that sentence loud and clear. The person who said it was Chen Bo, the big shot of Class 8, Grade 9. His grades were average, but he was exceptionally bold. Relying on his father being the district safety director, he threw his weight around in class. The teachers looked favorably upon him, and the classmates flocked around him. And now, the faintest hint of a mocking smile tugged at the corner of his mouth like a knife, lightly grazing me. Others don't know, but I know exactly why he has it in for me. 2 weeks ago, he slipped me a note that read, "Be my girlfriend." I folded the note into quarters and tossed it back onto his desk. No way. That night during study hall, he broke 3 pens. I thought he was just being immature. I didn't expect him to be this immature. Then he started spreading sexual rumors about me. The whispers in the hallway erupted. No way, Lin Xia seems pretty well behaved. More like putting on an act. You don't get it, the innocent-looking ones are always the wildest. The gym teacher's single, right? Every word felt like mud slung in my face. My throat tightened so much I thought I would throw up. My heart pounded like a hammer striking bone, bursting outward with every beat. I glanced at Chenbo. He looked pleased with himself. I remember very clearly. The glint in his eyes was nothing but sheer. I said, "You're dirty, so you're dirty." I took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Chenbo," I said slowly, each syllable deliberate. "Say that again." He narrowed his eyes and smiled casually. "What?" I said, "The PE teacher slept with you. You wanna hit me or something?" The boys around me immediately burst into jeering laughter. The laughter buzzed in my ears like mosquitoes. Annoying, stinging, repulsive. I clenched my fists, digging my nails into my palms so hard they nearly drew blood, but I didn't. Snap, my mind was racing. If I got angry, they'd just say I was protesting too much. If I tried to explain, they'd say, "The more she explains, the guiltier she looks. Go to the teacher." Ha, that would be walking right into the trap. That was the horror of campus sex slander. There was no way out unless I fight back even harder. I fixed my eyes on Chenbo and suddenly smirked. For a moment, he was visibly taken aback. I raised my voice so that everyone watching could hear clearly. "Didn't you say I got slept with?" The air turned dead silent. Slowly, I pulled out my phone from my pocket and showed it to him. "Fine," I whispered, "I admit it now." The hallway erupted. No way, she admitted it. For real? How dare she say that? I turned toward the security camera and dialed the number directly. The phone beeped, and the speaker came on. "Hello, is this 911? The crowd around me gasped sharply in unison. Chenbo's face turned completely pale. You're insane. Why would you call the police?" I stared at him, my voice as cold as a knife. "I'm a minor. You've spread false rumors accusing me of sexual assault, and even said I'm a teacher. I have to call the police." Chenbo's voice trembled. I just said it casually. I raised an eyebrow. I brought the phone close to his face, my voice clear enough for someone at the other end of the hallway to hear. "Then let's go to the police station together and explain it." "Do you dare?" A steady voice came from the police. "Can you provide the specific details?" I looked at Chenbo and said calmly, "Someone said I was sexually assaulted. I'm at school. Please send officers to handle it." Chenbo was so frightened that he stumbled backward, his back hitting the wall, and his voice cracked into a sharp shriek. Don't talk nonsense. When did I ever touch you?" "Shut up." He panicked so much that it only made the onlookers believe it even more. I sneered. "What? Didn't you say I was seduced?" The crowd automatically made way for him. I stood under the brightest sunlight. "Fine, then I'll take this lie of yours." I paused, my gaze cutting across his terrified face like a knife. "And make it true." 02. The police arrived faster than anyone could have imagined. In less than 5 minutes, 2 police officers appeared at the entrance of the school building. Their blue uniforms stood out sharply in the corridor. At that moment, no one dared to make a sound. Chenbo's face was as pale as a sheet of paper. He had always loved throwing his weight around at school, but now even his hands were trembling. His lips quivered as he forced out, "Officer, she was just joking." The officer looked up at him and spoke in a calm yet commanding tone. "Reports involving minors cannot be treated as jokes. Please come with us to the office, both of you, and explain clearly." Chenbo's legs went so weak he nearly collapsed, but I remained calm. I was so calm that even I surprised myself. It's not that I wasn't afraid, but more than fear, I wanted to see those people panic. Homeroom teacher Ms. Yao had just rushed over from the office, her face full of frustration and anger. "What's going on, Lin Xia? How could you call the police? If this gets out, how can the school bear the damage to its reputation?" I looked up and cut her off. "Ms. Yao, I'm the one who's been slut-shamed. The school's reputation matters, but doesn't my dignity?" Ms. Yao was left speechless. Instinctively, she turned to Chenbo. "Chenbo, why are you causing trouble again?" Chenbo was so frantic he was almost in tears. "Teacher Yao, I was just saying casually that I was sexually assaulted." My tone wasn't loud, but every word hit like a steel needle. Teacher Yao frowned. "You're all just kids. You can't go around saying things like that." Sigh. "I suggest you stop here today. Don't blow this up. Apologize to each other." I gave a cold laugh. "Teacher, do you really think spreading sexual rumors about someone is the same as stealing my eraser, and that an apology makes it all better?" Teacher Yao, put on the spot by my pushback, darkened his expression and his tone turned scolding. "Lin Xia, you're way too emotional right now. Do you know what kind of impact it will have if you call the police? You bring the police to school, What are we supposed to? The police officer spoke, his voice neither loud nor soft. Teacher, please don't use influence to pressure the child. Someone filed a report, so we have to handle it. That's our duty. Teacher Yao's expression froze. Chenbo was completely panicked. We were taken to a small reception room at the school for a brief questioning. The police officer asked Chenbo, you said you saw her being assaulted by the PE teacher. Do you have any evidence? Chenbo's voice sounded weak. And no, I just heard it from someone else. Police officer, who is that someone else? Chenbo, I can't remember. His hands trembled violently under the table, sweat dripping down his neck. The police officer asked me again. What is your reason for filing the report? I placed my phone on the table. He said loudly in the hallway that I came out of the PE teacher's office disheveled, with a red face. I'm a minor, and what he spread was information about sexual assault. The officer nodded. You did the right thing. Teacher Yao stood nearby, her face shifting between pale and ashen. She had never seen Lin Xiao like this before. This girl, usually as docile as air, was now as sharp as a knife. After taking the statement, the officer said, we will continue the investigation based on the evidence, but let me remind you, spreading rumors, defamation, and false sexual information involving minors carry legal consequences. Chenbo's legs went so weak that he nearly collapsed to the floor. Teacher Yao quickly steadied him. Officer, he's still a child. Could you maybe go easy on him? The officer looked at her calmly. The victim is also a child. Teacher Yao fell silent. When we walked out of the small room, the entire class stared at us like we were the scene of an explosion. Those who had wanted to laugh at Lin Xiao now didn't dare meet my eyes. I looked up and scanned the entire class. No one dared to say a word. Just then, my phone buzzed. An anonymous account left a new comment. The school bully's private life is quite a mess, and someone still dares to like her. LMAO, let's see what you can do by calling the cops. I clicked into the post. Dozens of replies, all insults, calling me a slut and fake innocent. Every profile picture was a burner account. I took a deep breath and hit the screenshot button. Then I saved, sorted, and uploaded them one by one into a new folder, which I named Evidence 203. Just then, homeroom teacher Mr. Yao stood at the front of the classroom, his face terribly grim. He had been called in for a talk and had clearly just been educated by the police. He scanned the room, and the entire class fell silent. Then he channeled all his anger onto me alone. Lin Xia, look at the huge stir you've caused. Do you realize you've affected the whole class, and the rest of you, gossiping about all this nonsense? I'm going to make sure every single one of you gets a demerit. She spoke with such righteous indignation, as if she were the victim. I looked up, my voice steady. Teacher, I'm the one who has had false rumors spread about me. I collected evidence to protect my own rights. Teacher Yao frowned in disgust. The fact that you called the police has already spread all over the school. What she truly cared about was the school's reputation, not me. It suddenly dawned on me. The coldness of the adult world is the perfect shield for bullying. I didn't continue arguing with Teacher Yao. Just at that moment, a girl suddenly stood up and looked at me nervously. Lin Xia, they posted a new thread on the school forum. The entire class's gaze once again fell on me. I opened the post. At that instant, it felt like a needle piercing my heart. The post title was bolded in red: underage female student secretly meeting alone late at night with a male PE teacher, along with a few blurry side profile photos that looked like me from behind. I looked up toward the far right of the classroom. Jiang Lin was looking down at her phone. It wasn't the first time she had secretly taken a photo of someone. She didn't care who I was either. She only cared about the drama and her own sense of superiority. I stood up, no yelling, no crying. I just walked to her desk and looked down at her. Jiang Lin, did you take this photo? Jiang Lin's body stiffened for a moment, but the next second she lifted her chin and forced a sneer. Are you sick? Why would I take a photo of you? You embarrassed yourself and now you're blaming others. The classroom filled with stifled laughter. Awkward and guilty, I slammed my hand down on her phone. Unlock it. She immediately pulled her hand back. What are you doing? You're violating my privacy. I stared at her, and secretly filming others isn't a violation. The words hit her like a slap. Jiang Lin's face went rigid, her eyes darted around, and her lips trembled, but she couldn't force out a single retort. The classmates whispered among themselves, why is she reacting so strongly? There's definitely something on that phone. She's always been the one who loves to secretly film people. Hearing these murmurs, Jiang Lin's breathing visibly faltered. She reached out to grab the phone, but I caught her hand and held it back. My voice turned icy cold. Do you want me to have the police check your filming records? Jiang Lin was completely stunned. Not the kind of breakdown from admitting it, but the loss of control that comes from realizing something serious was about to go wrong. Just then, my phone buzzed again. Is this Lin Xia? This is the police station. The tone remained calm, but the weight behind it was startlingly heavy. We've just received new reports that someone has been insulting you, spreading rumors, and circulating false content about you. Please come by again after school this afternoon so we can collect additional evidence from you. The entire class erupted once more. The police were coming for me a second time, not to lecture me, not to pressure me, but to collect evidence. I slowly raised my head to face the whole class. The class fell silent in an instant. Someone murmured, "It's over. They're really going to check our phones." Chenbo's hand was shaking so badly he almost dropped his phone. Jiang Lin swallowed hard, not daring to touch her phone again. I looked up and glanced at her. For the first time, she didn't dare to meet my eyes. Jiang Lin suddenly pushed her chair back and fell to the ground. I didn't do anything. For the sound of Jiang Lin hitting the floor exploded in the classroom. She didn't have time to compose herself. She looked as if her backbone had been ripped out, so flustered that even her breathing fell into chaos. Don't talk nonsense. I didn't secretly take photos of you. Her voice wavered, shaky even to herself. I crouched down, looking at her trembling hands. The phone was still on, the screen showing a photo album page. On it was a single photo. It was taken casually, from a low angle, a shot of my back as I entered the school gate today. I lightly swiped my fingertip, and another photo appeared. The girls gasped sharply. It was a voyeuristic photo taken from under a skirt. Although no explicit parts were visible, the angle was unmistakably deliberate. Jiang Lin's face instantly turned ashen. She reached out to snatch the phone back. Delete it, delete it. I raised my phone to avoid her reach, my voice cold as a blade. Deleting evidence obstructs the investigation. The entire class fell silent. No one dared to speak up for her, because in that very second, everyone realized, this was no longer just a joke between classmates. This was illegal. I looked up at the whole class. Who took this photo? Speak. No one made a sound, not even daring to breathe. I pointed my phone at the few underlings of Chenbo in the back row. The reflection on this shoe, on the floor. Which one of you has a gold trim on your toe? One of the underlings instinctively looked down. The golden trim reflection was exactly the same as in the photo. Flustered, he immediately tucked his foot back under the desk. It wasn't me. I asked coldly, did Jiang Lin tell you to take this photo? The young man's face turned pale, his lips trembling. I only took 50 from her. She said she just wanted to watch the fun. The whole class erupted into chaos again. Oh my god, so she really did secretly take photos. That's a crime, isn't it? Is she insane? Jiang Lin completely broke down. He's lying. I didn't do anything. I looked up and gave her a faint glance. In the thumbnail of your photo album just now, there's also a hidden folder. Jiang Lin froze instantly. Her legs went weak, and she couldn't stand up. I opened the deepest directory of my phone's photo gallery and found a folder called Memos hidden at the very bottom. I tapped it open. Inside were a dozen or so secretly taken photos, all with the same angle, lighting, and position. A chill ran through all the girls in the class. Jiang Lin screamed, "You can't look through my phone. That's illegal," I said flatly. I was just browsing the page you opened yourself a moment ago. She suddenly realized that when she had been grabbing for her phone just now, she had left the photo album open right in front of me. The classroom fell dead silent. Just then, my phone rang. It was news from the police. Please be sure to preserve all relevant evidence. This is very important to the case. I lifted my head, my tone calm yet enough to send a chill down everyone's spine. That's it. I've already screen recorded and saved all the evidence of the covert photos. And I didn't just save the photos. I casually started a screen recording as I scrolled through the entire album, capturing Jiang Lin's attempt to grab the phone, her frantic scream, and her contradictory reactions. In the eyes of the police, these actions would be seen as signs of guilt and evidence tampering. Jiang Lin's face turned pale. Why, you can't do this. You'll get me killed. I'm a girl too. For the first time, I let out a cold laugh. So now you remember you're a girl. I stared at her, each word like ice. When you took upskirt photos of others, why didn't you remember then? She shuddered. Chenbo stood nearby, his expression also turning sour. He suddenly realized things were spiraling out of control, and the fallout might involve more than just Jiang Lin. He spoke coldly, don't get too cocky. If everyone's causing trouble, why are you only going after her? I turned my head and let my gaze rest on him for a second. Then I curled my lips slightly and said, Chenbo, do you really think I've been dealing only with her this whole time? The classroom fell silent. Chenbo's Adam's apple bobbed. I reached into the paper bag and pulled out a voice recorder. This is my recording from the hallway this morning. Every word of the rumors you spread about me is in here. Chenbo's face finally turned to panic. I placed the voice recorder on the desk and tapped it lightly with my fingertip. Chenbo, you're next. The whole class gasped 3 times. Jiang Lin was covering her face, already broken down in tears. Chenbo looked pale, sweat beading on his forehead. I turned and went back to my seat. Then I packed all the recordings, photos, and screenshots into one folder. Exhibit 3. The moment I pressed the lock button, my hand was astonishingly steady. 05. Jiang Lin cried hysterically for an entire class period. Her eyeliner was a complete mess, smeared under her eyes like mud, but no one went over to comfort her, not because her classmates were cold-hearted, but because they all understood one thing. This wasn't just petty mischief, this was illegal. Even Chenbo's lackeys didn't dare to come near. Only Chenbo still tried to save face, putting on an act of being unafraid with his leader of the pack attitude. What are you crying about? No one said it was definitely you who took the photo. Anyone could have touched the phone. Before he could finish, Jiang Lin, red-eyed, shouted, "Shut up. You're the one who told me to post it. You told me to stare at her photos. You told me to." Chenbo's face drastically changed as he hastily interrupted, "Don't talk nonsense. When did I ever tell you to take upskirt photos? Are you crazy? Trying to get me killed?" Stunned by his scolding, Jiang Lin instantly shifted from fear to a tearful outcry. "I've done so much for you, and now you're saying it has nothing to do with you. What did you used to say? You said." Chenbo abruptly clamped his hand over her mouth. "Shut up." But it was already too late. The whole class heard it. The air froze. Did he really tell her to say that? So Chenbo is the mastermind behind this. A guy and a girl teaming up to bully another girl. That's just two. Whispers spread. Again, all tinged with unease. Completely enraged, Chenbo forcefully shook off Jiang Lin's hand. "Crazy woman." Tears streamed down Jiang Lin's face as she cried herself hoarse. I didn't try to comfort her, nor did I make any sarcastic remarks. I just shot Chenbo a single glance. The calmness in that look made his whole body tremble, because I never panicked, not for a single moment. That unnerved the antagonist more than any accusation could. "Did you think the storm would settle?" "No." Desperate people will always do even dirtier things when pushed to the wall. The next morning, as soon as I arrived at the classroom, I heard Jiang Lin arguing loudly with a few other girls. "I left my gold bracelet in my desk drawer yesterday, and it's gone this morning. Did someone steal it? Who would steal something? Everyone knows the answer deep down." As she said this, her gaze deliberately swept toward me. The whole class followed her eyes and turned to look at me. I smiled. How pathetic. Online harassment didn't work, so they tried secretly filming and exposing me, and got outplayed. Now they're moving on to framing me for theft. Chenbo stood up from his seat and said coldly, "Lin Xia, you arrived early yesterday, didn't you? Calling the police and checking your phone. Don't you think you've made enough trouble?" Others began to whisper as well. Someone like her might actually steal. Maybe she took the bracelet as evidence. The same malice filled the air once again, but this time, I wasn't angry, nor did I lose control, because all these little tricks were just too childish. I walked over to Jiang Lin's desk, my tone as calm as if I were asking about the weather. "Are you saying I stole it?" Jiang Lin's eyes were red and swollen, but she forced a mocking smile. "Aren't you the one who loves collecting evidence? Why no explanation this time?" "Explanation?" I chuckled softly. "You're not worth an explanation from me." Her face twisted. "What do you mean?" I raised my hand and pointed toward the corner at the back of the classroom. "When your group was crowding around to watch the drama yesterday, there was a security camera in that corner by the back door. Didn't you know?" Boom. The whole class erupted instantly. Jiang Lin's face looked as if someone had splashed a bucket of ice water on her. "And no, that's impossible. Our classroom doesn't have cameras." "The classroom doesn't." I paused. "But the hallway does. It happened to capture you this morning at 7:30, deliberately putting the bracelet into the desk hole, taking it back out, and then looking around. After I got home yesterday, I went specifically to ask the security guard for this footage." I held up my phone and pressed the screenshot of the hallway surveillance I had just retrieved right in front of Jiang Lin's face. In the photo, Jiang Lin's face was crystal clear. She slipped the bracelet in, then secretly took it back out, then put on a pitiful, round expression. All the actions captured in one continuous shot. The entire class gasped. Jiang Lin froze completely, her lips trembling. "And no way. How did you find out?" I stared at her, my voice barely above a whisper, yet heavy enough to crush her. "Because I won't let you succeed a second time." Suddenly, Chenbo slammed the desk with a deafening bang. "You're framing her." I looked at him, my gaze sharp. "Chenbo, have you forgotten?" I took out the voice recorder and placed it on his desk. "This is the recording of what you said after telling me, 'Don't get too cocky,' yesterday, when you forced Lin Jiang to delete her post and told her she was crying like it was real. The classroom was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I pressed play. The recording was clear and harsh. Delete it. You hear me? Stop crying like it's real. If you mess this up for me, don't think you'll have anywhere left to cry. Lin Jiang's face was as pale as a corpse's. Chen Bo slumped back into his chair, his hands trembling so badly that he couldn't grip the edge of the desk. The whole class exploded. This guy is so disgusting. Was he the one giving orders all along? This isn't the first time, is it? Was Jiang Lin being threatened? I put away my voice recorder and said calmly, I've heard quite enough from both of you. I pulled up the hallway surveillance footage and zoomed in. Jiang Lin deliberately dropped the bracelet, deliberately picked it up, deliberately staged the whole act, showing the class, one image after another. Finally, I asked, Jiang Lin, Chen Bo, spreading false rumors, cyberbullying, secretly taking photos, and framing, where exactly are you trying to drive me? Jiang Lin was crying so hard that her makeup was ruined, speaking in broken breaths. Chen Bo didn't dare to lift his head, his hands constantly picking at the corner of the table. For the first time, these few people showed a full-blown despair because they finally realized Lin Xia was not the pushover they had imagined, not the victim who could be bullied at will, but rather an opponent who could send them to the police station at any time. Neither of them spoke. Suddenly, footsteps were heard outside the classroom door. Someone glanced out and whispered, It's Chen Bo's dad. Chen Bo's whole body stiffened. Jiang Lin immediately stopped crying and lowered her head. A man stood at the door, his voice very low. Lin Xia, come out with me for a moment. 6. Chen Bo's father stood at the entrance of the school building, wearing a dark gray trench coat. He had his brows tightly furrowed, and his leather shoes were polished to a blinding shine, so clean it was unsettling. He didn't belong to the school, yet he was more intimidating than any teacher there. He was the district safety director. In other words, he wasn't far from being the police. Chen Bo stood beside him, his face stripped of all arrogance, replaced by a timid wariness, clearly aware that things had escalated beyond his control. I walked over. Keeping calm, he didn't speak, only gave me a long, deep look. That gaze was a mix of impatience, reproach, authority, and oppression. Then, he spoke, Child, do you think calling the police is some kind of joke? His tone was gentle, yet as sharp as a knife. I looked at him in silence. He continued, You're all minors. It's normal for classmates to have disagreements. Why can't you settle this privately? Why did it have to go this far? First sentence, downplays the offense. Second sentence, blurs the line on bullying. Third sentence, shifts the blame back to the victim. This is what adults are best at. I raised my hand and pointed at Chen Bo. He spread false rumors about me, cyberbullied me, secretly filmed me, and framed me. Do you think this is just a conflict? Chen Bo's father interrupted impatiently. My son said it was a misunderstanding. Don't turn a child's joke into a crime, I sneered. Spreading false rumors about sexual assault. Is that a joke? His brow furrowed sharply. For the first time, he showed displeasure. You're just a young girl. Why are you so stubborn? He stepped closer and lowered his voice. Let me tell you, calling the police won't ruin my son, it will only ruin you. The air suddenly turned cold, yet I didn't back down. The most common way adults threaten minors is by using consequences against them, but I'm no longer a child who can be bullied into tears. I raised my hand and showed him the recording button on my phone. Go on. Chen's father was stunned. I said indifferently, threatening a minor, say one more word like that, and you'll be in serious trouble. For the first time, Father Chen's expression changed. You're recording this? I raised an eyebrow. What else? Chen Bo's father could no longer maintain that gentle adult lecturing a child facade. His face darkened like ink. Are you provoking me? I nodded calmly. I'm reminding you not to cross the line. A cold wind blew through the corridor. He stared at me for a full 5 seconds before finally realizing, this girl is not to be trifled with. Chen Bo, anxious, chimed in from the side. Dad, don't believe her. She's faking it. I turned my head and glanced at him. There was no anger in that look, no fear, only calm. It actually made Chen Bo shut up instantly. Chen Bo's father took a deep breath, forcing down his rage. What do you want? For Chen Bo to go to jail? For my family to lose our jobs? For your class to end up in the news? I stared at him and said, word by word, I want justice. Silence fell again, heavier than before. Chen Bo's father gritted his teeth. Fine, you want evidence, do you? I have my own ways of finding out the truth. Don't get too cocky, I said softly. When you find it, make sure to tell me. I'm looking forward to it. 2. Then I turned around. I walked steadily, my back straight, without the slightest flinch. Just before I entered the classroom, I heard the police officer's message alert behind me. We have received the new recording and will question Chinbo's father about whether he intimidated a minor. Please preserve the evidence. My screen glowed in my palm. The words flashing coldly, Chinbo's father had not only failed to help Chinbo, but also landed himself in the investigation. 7. The news soon spread quietly around the class, but the more their misdeeds were exposed, the more anxious they became. The easier it was for them to do foolish things. The next morning, during the first class, Chinbo was clearly starting to crack. He had dark circles under his eyes and obviously hadn't slept well all night. As soon as class started, he kept glancing in my direction. The look in his eyes was no longer arrogant but filled with undisguised fear. Jiang Lin's situation was even worse. She spent the entire class trembling at her desk. Her phone had been confiscated by her parents, and her mother had slapped her in front of all the teachers the day before. Their psychological defenses were beginning to break down, but they wouldn't stop, because they are more afraid than I am of things escalating further. So after the second class, Chinbo's lackey rushed straight to my desk with a loud smack. He slammed his hand on my desk. Hey, are you even capable? A girl like you, snitching on this one and that one all day long. Aren't you tired? Do you even have any shame? I looked at him without getting up. Had enough of yelling. If you're done, get lost. The lackey's face turned red with anger. What do you mean by that? Say that again if you dare. Just then, someone suddenly grabbed him by the shoulder. A cold voice rang out. Try touching her again. The whole class turned to look. It was Wang Yifan, the kind of guy with good grades, a cool temperament, and who never used foul language. He usually never got involved with this crowd. He stood in the sunlight, his gaze sharp as a knife, calling the police as her right. In that moment, the entire class was stunned. No one expected that this goody two-shoes would actually speak up for me. Chinbo, indignant, retorted, "Who do you think you are? What business is it of yours?" Wang Yifan, "Of course it's my business, because," he turned to me, his gaze calm and firm, "I saw the whole thing, Chinbo spreading those lies." The class exploded. What? No way, he's an eyewitness. Chinbo's face went pale instantly. Wang Yifan, what the hell are you talking about? Where did you see me? Wang Yifan remained calm, neither flustered nor loud, simply stating the facts. That day you said you saw Lin Xia coming out of the equipment room, but I was over by the sports ground, and when you rushed out from next to the equipment room, your face was even paler than it is now. At the time I thought you were about to throw up. The classroom fell dead silent. Chinbo shouted himself hoarse. You're full of shit. When have I ever come out of there? You're lying. You're ly. Wang Yifan took out his phone directly. I took a picture of you running away. From behind, the time and place are all there. Do you want me to send it to the police? Chinbo, this. Silence came because fear had lodged itself in his throat. The entire class fell into a deathly silence. For the first time, I truly looked up at Wang Yifan. He didn't look back at me. Instead, as calmly as if reciting a math problem, he said, I wanted to say this yesterday, but there were too many of you. I was afraid that if I spoke up, you'd twist my words into something else, but now there's more and more evidence. I can't keep pretending I don't see it. His voice was not loud, but it struck like a heavy hammer in an empty classroom. I can't stand by and watch you bully a girl. At that moment, something struck me hard in the chest. It was sour, hot, and suffocating. I could hardly breathe. The villain's facade was violently torn open, and this tear was made by a quiet guy who never got involved in any gossip. Chinbo panicked like crazy. Why, you mind your own business. Do you know who my dad is? If you dare say anything, he'll deal with you. You think you still want to stay in this school? Smack. The slap wasn't hitting a person, but the desktop. Wang Yifan slammed the table coldly and stared straight at Chinbo. If you use your father to threaten me again, I'll report him along with you. The classroom erupted with explosive exclamations. Wang Yifan had never spoken in this tone before. Even I was stunned. Chinbo's face turned completely green, the veins on his forehead bulging like earthworms. He tried to lunge forward, but someone restrained him faster. The teacher stood at the door, face dark with anger. Chinbo, what are you doing? Chinbo froze, his entire body stiffening in fear, not daring to move. Wang Yifan straightened up, bowed to the teacher, and spoke at a measured pace. Teacher, I would like to submit supplementary witness testimony to the school. The entire class erupted in chaos. The teacher's expression grew extremely complicated. Chinbo looked at Wang Yifan and me in despair, like a drowning man watching the waves keep closing in. I'm done for, done for. His throat was dry, and his lips trembled as he said, Lin Xia, I beg you, Don't keep investigating. I walked up to him and said calmly, Chenbo, it's not me doing the investigating, it's your own actions that are driving things forward. Chenbo completely collapsed into the chair. He finally understood. I was not the prey they could torment at will. I was the one sending every single one of their evil deeds into the hands of the law, the executioner. 08 Wang. Yifan stepping forward changed the entire atmosphere of the class. Everyone had thought I was fighting alone, but now, for the first time, they realized Lin Xia is not alone, and to them, that was like the final straw that broke their mental defenses. As soon as the bell rang, Jiang Lin was grabbed by her mother at the classroom door. Get out here. Her mother's face was dark, with the word disgrace written all over her eyes. Jiang Lin was dragged into the hallway, not daring to resist at all. The whole class pricked up their ears. All they could hear was Jiang Lin's mother's suppressed, furious voice. You took secret photos, you spread dirty rumors, you posted what online? Do you want to go to prison? Jiang Lin was crying so hard she could barely breathe. It wasn't just me, it was Chenbo. He told me to post it. Before she could finish, a slap landed with a crack. The force of the slap made Jiang Lin stumble, and she collapsed against the hallway wall. Her mother's voice was piercingly cold. Are you insane? You commit a crime with someone else and you think you're in the right. If your father finds out about this, he'll break your legs. The rest of us in the classroom were too scared to move. Only Chenbo turned pale, his hands gripping the edge of the desk as if trying to crush it. Jiang Lin continued crying out, Go ask Chenbo. He started it. He was the one who said Lin Xiao was with the teacher. He told me to stare at her photos. He said their family has strong connections and nothing would go wrong. I was just following his lead. Jiang Lin's mother's voice suddenly rose. Chenbo, just because he backs you up, you think you can break the law? You're a girl taking orders from him. Where's your brain? Jiang Lin completely broke down. Then what am I supposed to do? He calls me every day. He threatens me. He makes me delete my posts. He makes me play the victim. If I don't do it, he says he'll ruin me at school. That single phrase, ruin me, plunged the entire classroom into a dead silence. The villain's disguise was torn off in public, leaving nothing left. Chenbo could no longer hold back. He jumped out of his seat and shouted, Don't slander me. When did I ever ask you to? I stood up and slowly walked to the classroom door. Jiang Lin's eyes were filled with despair and fury. She pointed at Chenbo, her whole body trembling. It was you. You told me to secretly take upskirt photos of her. You said that would be juicy content. You said the more viewers, you said. Chenbo shouted, almost losing control. Shut up. Don't try to frame me. Jiang Lin had already gone mad. What are you pretending for now? Have you forgotten what you said? Her voice broke into a sharp screech. You said, with her innocent look, she's the easiest to ruin with slut-shaming rumors. Once the rumor is out, the whole class will believe it. For an instant, the air felt like it had been crushed to the point of bursting. Chenbo's face was completely distorted. I took out the voice recorder from my pocket. I pressed the play button. A clear male voice echoed through the hallway. With her innocent look like that, it'll ruin her in one go. If you cry as if it's real, no one will suspect a thing. Post 2 more upskirt photos, and the whole class is bound to believe it. Every voice belonged to Chenbo. The entire class gasped. Jiang Lin's mother froze, her grip on her daughter's arm slowly loosening. Even the teacher was stunned, her face turning pale. Chenbo was completely panicked, his lips turning purple. And no, that wasn't me. That recording is fake. Don't believe it. I slowly approached and said coldly, Wasn't it you who loved to say, the whole class will believe me? Chenbo stumbled backward as if he couldn't breathe. Now the whole class is listening. Terrified, he collapsed onto the ground. Jiang Lin's mother suddenly rushed over and fiercely grabbed Chenbo by the collar, shouting, How dare you drag my daughter into this, you beast? The teacher quickly stepped in to pull her away, and the scene momentarily spiraled out of control. In the midst of the chaos, my phone rang once more. Lin Xia, Chenbo, and Jiang Lin are to report to the principal's office immediately. The police have arrived at the school to assist with the investigation. I looked up. Chenbo had already collapsed to the floor, his face as pale as a corpse. Jiang Lin leaned against the wall, crying, her hands clutching her legs as she trembled. The entire corridor was deathly silent. I took a deep breath. I stepped away from the crowd. 9. As soon as the principal's office door closed, the room fell completely silent. On this side of the table sat me. On the other side sat Chenbo's family, Jiang Lin's family, the homeroom teacher, the grade-level leader, and 2 police officers. Everyone looked grim. I'm not nervous. Instead, I feel like laughing. Today is not a talk. Today is a public execution, and right now, the only one who remains calm is me. Chenbo sat in the chair, his face pale and drained of color, while Jiang Lin curled up. unable to utter a single word. The air was thick with heavy tension. The principal spoke first, his voice steady. I've called everyone here today because the situation has severely disrupted school order, but before taking any action, we must first get to the bottom of the facts. The police officer nodded and turned on his body camera. I knew this wasn't a conversation, this was formal procedure. Chinbo's father was the first to strike, his tone impatient. Principal. Let me say this first, our son has admitted to saying some inappropriate things, but he absolutely did not spread rumors or secretly take any photos or anything like that. This is all a misunderstanding. The principal frowned. The police will decide whether it's a misunderstanding. Chen's father pressed on stubbornly. A girl calling the police every single day. This is hurting the school's reputation. We will also pursue. I looked up calmly and interrupted him. Officer, may I submit my evidence first? The officer nodded. Of course, go ahead. I connected my phone to the large screen in the meeting room. The moment the screen lit up, everyone couldn't help but hold their breath. Evidence 1. Hallway rumor audio. I played the first audio clip. I saw her coming out of the PE teacher's office, and her clothes were all messy. Are you saying she was slept with? Hey, keep your voice down. She was blushing like crazy. The expressions on Chinbo's parents instantly cracked. Teacher Yao's face turned pale in an instant. The police officer asked coldly, did you say that? Chinbo's lips trembled. I was just casually saying. I looked up. With just a few casual words, you ruined my entire reputation. Chinbo lowered his head, not daring to look at me. Evidence 2. Screenshots of cyberbullying on the campus forum. Dozens of screenshots popped up on the screen. Little slut. Her innocent act is way too fake. She just slept her way into the special admission. The joke of class 8 pics or it didn't happen. Jiang Lin's mother saw these screenshots, her face burning with shame and fury. The police officer frowned. We'll trace the IP of whoever posted this, one by one. Jiang Lin cried. It wasn't me. It was Chinbo who made me. Chinbo exploded in rage. Don't talk nonsense. But no one believed him. Evidence 3. The whole process of secretly recording and deleting the evidence. Jiang Lin's mother abruptly stood up. You're falsely accusing my daughter. How could she possibly secretly record? I held up my phone. Fine, let's play the video. On the screen, Jiang Lin grabs for the phone. Jiang Lin deletes the photos. Jiang Lin screams. Jiang Lin panics. Every frame is cruelly high definition. Jiang Lin cries so hard she can barely see. I didn't mean to. It's what Chinbo said. I didn't dare. Her father roars. You're telling me someone forced you to film up a woman's skirt? Jiang Lin breaks down sobbing. He told me to post it. He said the more shocking it is, the more people will believe it. He said if I don't obey, he'll destroy me. Chinbo nearly falls to his knees in fear. Don't talk nonsense. I jumped to my feet. One sentence dropped like a bomb. She's not lying. I have a recording. Slap. The screen switches. You're crying as if it's real. Don't think I can't make you regret it. Chinbo's father turned livid instantly. His mother covered her mouth, nearly fainting. The meeting room exploded into chaos. Even the principal lost control. Chinbo, you're making your classmates commit crimes for you. Chinbo's legs gave way. No, it wasn't me. I stared at him, my eyes like knives. With just one not me, you think you can wash your hands clean? Chinbo completely broke down. I was wrong. Okay, Lin Xia, don't keep going. The police officer raised a hand to stop him. Hold on a second before you explain. Evidence 4. Surveillance footage of the false theft accusation. My voice turned cold. Whether I keep going or not isn't up to you. I pulled up a screenshot from the hallway surveillance footage. Jiang Lin's entire process of clearly stuffing the bracelet into the desk drawer, taking it back out, and playing the victim was captured on video with perfect clarity. Jiang Lin's mother, boiling with rage, slammed her hand on the table. When did you become this kind of person? Jiang Lin sobbed until she trembled. I didn't dare to resist him. Evidence 5. Recording of Chinbo's instructions. Finally, I played the climactic recording with that innocent look of hers. One push and she's ruined. You cry just like it's real. Send a couple more upskirt shots. The less she explains, the more others will believe it. The air in the entire conference room seemed to freeze. Chinbo's father suddenly stood up and shouted, Chinbo. But Chinbo was completely slumped in his chair, his lips purple, his eyes empty. He knew it was over for him. The police officer took notes in a professional and calm tone. Jiang Lin's involvement in secretly photographing private parts and posting inappropriate content requires further investigation. Chinbo is suspected of spreading rumors, incitement, instigation, and online harassment. We need to file a case. Both of these matters fall outside the school's jurisdiction and will be handled by us. Chinbo's mother suddenly burst into tears. Officer, He's still young. The police officer looked up and said, the victim is also young. A very realistic statement. I stood by and listened quietly, without interrupting. Chenbo was so frightened that he burst into tears. I didn't. I'm not. She wanted to do it. She didn't even explain. I looked up and asked him, so you spread rumors about me because I stayed silent. Chenbo was at a loss for words. I continued, not explaining myself is my kindness. Spreading rumors about me is your malice. The meeting room fell completely silent. The principal let out a long sigh, looking at me. Lin Xia. My apologies. The school has failed you. Homeroom teacher Yao had already turned pale, her eyes darting away. For the first time in the room, there appeared respect, guilt, and silence. The police officer directly announced, Chenbo, from this moment on, you are officially under investigation for malicious defamation and incitement by minors. Chenbo was so frightened that he collapsed directly to the ground. Jiang Lin trembled all over. I stood up and glanced at them like they were trash. What I want is not your apology. I enunciated each word. I want you to pay the price. 10. Before morning reading, the crowd gathered around the bulletin board. 3 disciplinary notices were pinned at the very top, glaringly white. A few people stared for a few seconds, then quickly looked away, as if scalded by something. Chenbo, serious disciplinary violation, recorded a major demerit, suspended from school for reflection. Jiang Lin, false accusation, spreading inappropriate content, secretly photographing private parts, recorded a demerit. Teacher Yao, serious dereliction of duty, removed from homeroom position. No one laughed, no one applauded, only a stifling silence. That kind of silence was more chilling than any noise. As I walked past the bulletin board, the crowd parted on its own to form a narrow path. No one was trying to curry favor, nor was anyone deliberately avoiding me. They simply realized all at once that a girl could tear apart the malice they had grown used to. That realization was more powerful than any apology. Not long after entering the classroom, 3 girls slowly approached me. Their steps were light, as if afraid of disturbing something. Lin Xia, we used to say bad things about you. We're really sorry. Their faces were slightly flushed, their fingertips gripping their sleeves. The apology wasn't fluent or polished, but it was sincere. I put down my pen, looked at them, and said, don't follow the crowd in the future. They were startled for a moment. As if they hadn't expected me to say that, I added, following the crowd is the easiest way to hurt others. The 3 girls lowered their heads in silence, then nodded. After they left, the air felt much cleaner. During the afternoon homeroom session, the principal unexpectedly showed up. The entire class went as quiet as first graders on their very first day. The principal stood at the podium, looking at us with a grave expression. This incident has shown us the cruelty among children, and also the neglect from adults, he said slowly, yet every word weighed heavily in the air. Student Lin Xia used the law to protect herself, and also reminded us, the campus is not a place for silence. The classroom was dead silent. Someone was stealing glances at me, but I didn't look up. The principal looked toward the last row of our class. I hope this is the last time we see something like this in our school. After he finished speaking, the atmosphere in the entire class felt like a corner had been lifted, not relief, but a heavy sense of self-reflection. After evening self-study ended, I closed my textbook and prepared to leave. Wang Yifan was standing at the door, leaning against the wall, his silhouette stretched long by the light. He didn't greet me first, only speaking when I got close. You did very well. That sentence didn't sound like praise, more like an affirmation, steady, simple, without any drama, yet powerful. I looked at him. Thank you for standing up that day. He shook his head. Not to help you. He paused. I just couldn't watch you carry it alone. There was no exaggerated heroism in the boy, no unnecessary words, but that one sentence weighed heavier than many comforts. We didn't walk out together, just parted ways at the school building entrance. That moment of quiet felt profoundly real. On the way home from school, the wind was a bit cold. I stopped by the edge of the sports field. The sunset dyed half the sky orange. All the past humiliation, anger, isolation, and fear felt like an amplified dream, but the air today was real, and it was light. Standing before the empty sports field, I took a deep breath, as if exhaling the shadows of the past. Little by little, they tried to drown me in malice. I used the truth to leave them nowhere to hide. It wasn't revenge, nor was it retribution. It was a boundary. It was reclaiming the world that belonged to me. The wind brushed my cheek as I whispered, I'm back, as if saying it to myself, and also to the whole world. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll bring you new and exciting content every week, so don't miss out. Also, feel free to leave your thoughts and feelings in the comments section. Let's discuss and share together. Remember to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any story updates. Thank you all for your support, and see you next time.